Regular meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court. As we do all meetings, we will start with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and Texas flag. And I'd like to have Commissioner Garza lead us in those two pledges at the appropriate time. Not yet. Thank you, Commissioner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I didn't know if there was another Commissioner Garza in the audience, so that's what I was asking.
Judge, I have some people here that need to leave. Could we do the consent items first? Would that be all right with you?
No problem with the court? We can do that. Okay, consent items, forgot my glasses. 3A through
David.
through double B. Are there any items any member of the court wish to take out and discuss separately?
Judge,
Pete.
items 3C, 3F.
Okay, well, is that to discuss separately? The table?
Table 3C, table 3F,
Hold on. Okay,
table 3J.
okay.
That's it.
I'd like to table item H.
Okay. Anything else?
I think we have some people here that came to speak on this and are probably here to speak on public comment. So if we table this, then those people can be allowed to leave unless they want to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Well, that's going to be up to them if they want to do that.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioners?
That's all I have.
Okay. You good?
Well, not table. Are you asking
Okay.
for tabling?
Or take out and discuss separately.
T?
T as in Tom?
Yeah.
T as in T as in Tom. Okay? To take out.
For discussion.
Okay? Anything else? Okay, hearing none and sensing none. Do I hear a motion?
Well, no, I
there's
think I
more?
need to pull one more out, Judge. I'm sorry. Thank you. Double A.
Double A?
I had it circled. Double A, yeah. For discussion.
Hey, Rick.
You want to bring it back on now? You want to bring it back on?
Which X? X, Judge.
To take out and discuss separately?
You better not.
Got a request to bring back item A?
A?
No, I'm just kidding. Never seen so much interest in an
On
agenda.
what item was that?
No.
We're tabling.
X?
Okay, let me tell you what I've got so far. I've got the tabling of items C, F, H, J, to discuss separately item T, X, and double A.
Okay.
Is that it? Do I hear a motion to approve all items except those that I have been asked to table and to take out and discuss separately?
So moved.
Second by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Garza. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item T, consideration approval of construction contract with Peterson Construction Company for drainage improvements for Green Valley Farms.
Judge, I just want to make sure and publicly state that it's a long time in coming. We've been working on this parts of flood control for many years now. I know that we were awarded this money a while back, but today this court is finally awarding the contract that is going to allow for that ditch to be built and hopefully help relieve a large, not all of the problem in Green Valley Farms, but a large problem in Green Valley Farms. Okay. So just want to publicly acknowledge everyone for all the work they've done.
Okay, do I hear, that's a motion to approve by Commissioner Garza. Second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. And opposed, carries. Consider item X, consideration approval of banking resolution for Cameron County Child Welfare Board account 25331678482 to be opened by the treasurer.
Are these going to be county funds?
They're not supposed to be county funds.
Well, that's why I want to discuss this. I mean,
I
should the
agree
treasurer be
with
holding
you.
this?
I don't know why.
They're not county funds, but there is a statute that says that the treasurer shall open an account for the monies that the district clerk collects on behalf of the jury donations, and that's for this group. And that's what money will go in that account, and then those monies get turned over to the Cameron County Cameron County Child Welfare Board.
So none of these will be county funds?
No, they belong to the Cameron County Child Welfare Board. But the statute says that the treasurer needs to open an account for those jury donations to be put in, and then while they're collected, and then they're put into that account, and then the check is turned over, a check for whatever has been collected gets turned over to the Cameron County Child Welfare Board.
So if they're not county funds, then they're not going to appear anywhere on the treasurer's financial report to us that we have to approve?
They would be, probably, because he's got to put those monies into that account. So I would think they will appear on that report.
So we will then be approving claims on this account?
No, because the monies get turned over to the welfare board.
This is part of the problem that we've had probably in the last 2 years. The Cameron County Child Welfare Board has been struggling because there weren't enough members. Then they would get donations, and then we were having to run to Mrs. Galarza because there was no way of getting the monies to be able to use this for different functions for all these children. So statutorily, I understand now there is something that will allow the treasurer to open this account.
And hold the money?
And hold the money. And the other thing this court needs to do is to continue to, we need to make a decision as to how many more board members. Right now, I think it's down to 5. Is that so, Lynette? How many? They're down to 3. And so I think at one time there was 15. Okay, and then it was cut down, and they have a problem on their hands.
So do we need to reevaluate and put a board that's going to work?
That's going to work.
Well, let me go back, and the reason it's 3 is not because at our direction. It's 3 because that's how many you have left that are actually participating and active, but I think we lowered the amount from 15 to 7.
For quorum purposes?
Yeah, well, no, just because they couldn't get 15 people there, so we lowered, whenever you have 15 people, it's hard to get anything done. So we brought it down to 7, and from those 7, now it's down to 3 that there's still, the court authorized the creation of a 7-person board. But now what I'm hearing is that there's only 3 that are maintaining some sense of participation. So we've done all we can do. The other issue that this board has, and I don't know if they've ever gotten their 501c3, so they're having some problems with that. So is that done? No. Okay, we've been working since I've been counting, I mean, even before, they're a nonprofit in the eyes of that we look at it, but for IRS purposes,
They're not nonprofit.
They are not.
Well, and I know, and I don't know if this is the same group, but I know like some of the CPS attorneys will donate money for the Christmas party. Is that something separate?
No, it's something else. That's
Okay.
CASA. So this board has really struggled over the years since I've been here, and every time we attempt to do something, it's just hard to get good people that want to serve and not just pad their resume. Sure.
But I thought that everyone that was on that list for the jury list.
Agreed to do it.
Well, no. I'm going back to the original, this group is on the donation from the jury. Correct. I thought everyone that we had on that list had to be a 501c.
I don't know.
501c3.
I don't know,
I mean-
Commissioner.
No?
No, I don't know. That's something they have to look into.
I mean, can we
I don't
legally
know.
turn money over to an individual that we collect?
Well, I think the money's just been
Sitting there.
sitting there.
Well, no, we've had distributions of money.
Commissioner Garza,
Well, no, hold
This-
on. Excuse me. I'm asking some questions over here. you know, we've had distribution of checks to other organizations that are listed on the jury selection donation list, whether it be Shoes for Tots or, I know there's about 7 different, there's a bunch of different ones, you know. And occasionally, like quarterly, and maybe Martha can help me here, they've brought over to us like checks that they distribute to the different ones. That right? Okay, and they're all 501Cs?
No, I think we're talking two different things, because there's a family protection fee that is collected that can only be distributed to certain organizations that meet their requirements.
No, I'm not talking about
So you're not
that
talking
one.
about,
That's
that's where
family-
there's the three
That's
that,
Families
yeah.
Crisis Center.
Right,
and,
right.
Brownsville something, and but no, I'm talking about the ones where when you go to serve on a jury, there's a caveat of, you know, whether it's the Humane Society
Right, they
or
can donate
Maggie's
to a
House
list
or
if they don't
Shoes
wanna
for
take the money.
somebody. Yeah, you choose who you donate your money to.
Right.
Okay, those, we've had checks distributed to those folks through this court in the past, okay? So what is there money sitting there that belongs to the Child Welfare Board that has not been distributed?
Those funds are paid by the jury fees.
Right.
They don't come in from Cameron County funds.
So where's all that money that we haven't collected yet, is your question?
Well, no, I know we've distributed money out.
But how if we weren't holding it?
Well, we had to be holding it somewhere.
Where was it being held, Martha?
Okay, when you serve on a jury, you can
Yes.
donate your per diem or whatever they pay you
That's correct.
to any one of a caveat of organizations.
That's correct.
When someone checks off where it goes, where does it get deposited?
The checks are distributed, they're run out of the jury fees that are collected, the jury payment to the jurors, and it's a donation, and it gets processed, and the checks get distributed, I believe it's by the treasurer's office, to the entities that the juror selects to donate their pay to.
Out of the clerk's account, because they're the ones that have the money?
Out of the juror fee pay account, yes.
Okay, okay. That answers my question.
Okay. Now, she had some information to
Yeah, now
enlighten
you wanted
us.
to share something with us.
Thank you. Yes. Currently, what we're trying to do is we do have those checks on hold. This state statute establishes that we do not need to be a 501c3, but that with this process, we must have a county type of bank account to deposit the checks in. Currently, yes, we have a board of 3 that's actively working. We've committed 7 other people, and again, I'll come back to the Commissioner's Court with this item later. But at the moment, we're trying to get these kids back to school supplies, and we have about 10 days to do it. We can't cash those checks or the other checks that people have been giving us without a bank account. So that's why I'm here today to ask for this.
Lynette, going forward, from now on, when you receive a donation for whatever, be it the Christmas fund or back to
Okay.
school, you'll be able to deposit them in this account and be able to access those funds?
Yes.
Because that's been your biggest problem,
Yes.
not being able to do that.
Yes, and we are working on a 501c3. Unfortunately, it is costly, and it's a process we've coordinated with the Special Initiatives community person that takes care of the southern region, and she's been working with us to get that work done as well, so that we're not losing funds when we're trying to purchase school supplies or help with different activities that we have going on through the year.
We need to do all that we can to help this group succeed. And I know we all want to do that.
Sure.
But albeit at the same time, we have to make sure it succeeds within the parameters that we can do, so David doesn't get into some problem, or we get some problem, or even some of your board members
course.
could become liable for some of this stuff, so.
And right now, we're working with Hidalgo County, because they're about to start their 501c3
Right.
process as well. They're child welfare boarders, and so we're trying to get on it. But we have 10 days to get them the school supplies, and we
Okay.
really do need it.
My only concern, and that's why I pulled it, was if we're taking in money and we're approving claims on something that we're not supposed to, I don't think we should. And that's why I wanted to ask Dilbia, if we take this money in, are we going to have to approve them spending it for these school supplies?
I think,
Yeah.
hold on, before we get off track a little bit, because I've got your same concern, but my understanding, the only check we're going to be cutting is back to you, not processing claims to Home Depot or to Toys R Us or anything else. We do, you say, your request, really, those money should almost be a wash-through, pretty much, but with the money that goes in there, we give somebody, I guess the board chair, a check. We start approving claims, then you've got to go through the whole process of audit and make sure that there's POs and all that good stuff. I mean, we just cannot do that. So I think my thought is we just cut somebody, and I don't know who that would be, one check for X amount of dollars once a month for you all to spend. Now, as far as the paperwork and documentation to support the expenditures, that falls within you all.
Yes.
It falls outside of our area. So we're not
We're not liable
responsible
at all.
or liable
Okay.
for anything. That's your deal.
Move to approve.
Okay.
May I read something here to you? It says that the county treasurer shall deposit donations made to the county child welfare board under subsection A2 in a fund established by the county to be used by the child welfare board in a manner authorized by the commissioner's court or the county. So in other words, for me to stand here and say we'll be using it to purchase school supplies and support the children in the foster care system in Cameron County is what they're asking that we tell you.
Can you
we'll
read
be
that
doing.
last sentence again? 'Cause I think,
To be used by the child welfare board in a manner authorized by the commissioner's court or
See,
the county.
So then we do have to approve
that
it.
tells me that we have some kind of oversight into that. And if that happens, then what I'm hearing, based on what you just read, is that you are going to be subject to our purchasing, procurement thing. Yeah, you're just saying as authorized by the Commissioner's Court.
What y'all give us permission to do, in other words, to purchase materials for the children in
Right.
the foster
We
care
have,
system.
yeah, but based on what you've read, I mean, I'm not the lawyer here,
I am.
but, and that's a scary thought, but,
Why do you think I pulled
basically
it?
what it's saying is that we have to authorize those expenditures. That's what I've heard, now unless I'm misreading it, or mishearing it, but if we do that, then our auditor's office has to do their due diligence before they bring it to us for us to authorize.
In a manner.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, why don't we ask our legal counsel?
Saying we're authorizing, we're not asking.
Ask her to read again.
No, but we're authorizing what they can purchase, not how much they can spend. There's a difference. That's right.
It's by our bylaws and how we send it and y'all approve it.
So
That
you
we're
need to have your
in a
bylaws.
manner authorized by you all.
Yeah. I would also be concerned about the once a month, because there may be times that they need to spend a check a week, and we shouldn't restrict them how often they can use the money.
Can we have legal review the statute and give us an opinion?
Yeah, I don't have it with me right, she's got it. But what I was gonna say is, we've sat with the state on this issue because the Child Welfare Board is not an entity of the county. It's actually an entity or a sub-agency of the state. So, we're not supposed to be having any kind of say or kind of control over this board because it's not a county board. It's actually an entity of the state. So these.
But if we're having to collect money and distribute it, I think we have some responsibility.
Oh, while y'all look at that, you want to go to double A? Can we do that while you read that? Delbia, do you need some time to go look
Yes,
at that?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to pass for now, and we'll come back to it. Let me go to double A. Consideration and possible approval of a lease with Ocean Trust for native plant nursery to be located on property included in Andy Bowie Park. Who pulled that?
I
You
did, Judge,
Commissioner?
and this was pulled just to make sure that the court has the information as to what is going on. I think we've gotten the presentation.
Yes.
Mr. Lassen is here. Would you like to say a few words? I'm going to mention just a few things, but I know that we've had Thor here before.
We had a movie about it.
Yeah. And he's given us information, but for the sake of the public, I think it would be good if you would just briefly review the scope of the project and preliminary timelines.
The purpose of the project is to establish a capacity to produce native plants. We've been doing restoration work in the valley since 2000, and one of the challenges we have with every project is sourcing native plants, particularly when you work in refuges and things like as such, because you're not allowed to bring commercial plants or plants that are not native to the region onto certain properties. And for ecological reasons, you want to use native plants, and that's always been a challenge with every project we've done. So for the purpose of coastal restoration, we'd like to have that capacity to produce it annually. But there is also a need for plants in shoreline restoration or shoreline protection. And that term I include dune protection, with plants that are going to hold the dunes together, bitter panicum and other species. Currently, local entities are importing plants from as far away as Florida, and with the rate of success that you may not get if you had a native plant. And we've talked to UTB Kingsville about the best way to do this, and the recommendation back to us was for us, to work with the county and grow native plants in this region rather than importing them from out of state. So it is for coastal restoration, it's for coastal protection, it's for preparedness, for either environmental disasters or man-made disasters, oil spills. Louisiana has a great impact on. They have many thousands of acres that they have to restore. So we're trying to establish a local capability to do this with the Native Plant Center. As you know, we have came last year around this time a year ago, presented the project to the Commissioners Court. We also presented it. It was also presented to the Parks Advisory Board and to the Texas Master Naturalists organization. We're trying to reach out in the same manner that we did with Bahia Grande and build a partnership with as many people that have an interest in this sort of a project. I've discussed it also with the local chapter of the Texas Garden Club. So, I mean, at least one of the officers on the island. So that's the whole purpose here, is to take a community-wide effort and make use of that property up near the convention center and turn it into something productive for the county.
And I think one other component that you probably didn't have written down and failed to mention is that it would be an educational opportunity for not only children but adults to be able to see, just like now when they visit the birding center or Sea Turtle Link, have another amenity there that is ecologically related, that will show them vegetation that is common to our areas. They learn about them, they learn to respect them. They don't, go pulling them out when they're out there, having fun at the beach, but learning to respect the environment in a little different way than we normally do now. I think that was one of my...
Yes, sir, that is. I mean, I was at the island this winter. It was, forgot what the event was called, but I did sit down with a couple of the presenters that focused on the native plants on South Padre Island, and that is also the intent, to have a place where people can come in and learn something about plants, like a very small arboretum, with the plant displays and a little garden in the back in front of the production center. So it is meant to be educational as well for the residents here, for school kids, and it's we're a nonprofit, so we're going to make it as available as we can.
There will not be a charge to go into the nursery.
We're just going to ask for people that want to make a donation. Okay. We're nonprofit.
No gates.
No, we don't have any boardwalks. I don't want to say too much about that, but we don't want to be controversial.
I want to make sure and say something about that.
Excuse me?
I wanted to make sure and say something about that.
No, I know. We want to be non-controversial. and
All right.
and a partner with the county.
Thank you, Thor. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So move.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go back to the beginning while we await, that's fine. Public comments? All the ones that signed up are now gone, so I guess there's no public comment. Anybody wish to address the court that didn't sign up? Item 2, presentations. Presentation and update. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete, you said you wanted to do some before? Somebody had to go? Which ones were
We
they?
can table 2A.
2A?
Yes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa, to table item 2A. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries.
We can go to item 4I.
4I,
Judge,
hold on.
can I make a comment on 2A?
Yes, sir.
Briefly? You know, I know that my office has been involved to some extent on that solar panel project, and all I will say is that if Mari or Angelica can be of any help in putting a presentation or whatever together, because I know that they got the website and all this kind of stuff on there, they'll be more than happy to do it.
And we actually got last week a check, a rebate from
$85,000?
AP, $87,000.
87,000.
Travel money.
How much?
It goes to utility.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Travel money.
Pete's been looking for travel money.
But how much did we get back, Pete?
87,000.
Okay, great.
Good job, Pete. Good work. Keep it
It's
up.
typical. You get it, spend it.
Okay, go
Calm
ahead.
down, guys. Okay.
Move
What else?
along.
Item 4I.
Item 4I, consideration approval interlocal agreement between Cameron County and the Council of Urban Counties.
Judge, we've had a couple of meetings, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Benavides, Judge Nelson, Kevin Sines, Sam Smith, from the DA's office, David and myself, on moving forward with an electronic filing system. Charles Gray with the Council of Urban Counties is here. He's going to go through a brief PowerPoint and then talk about what the plan is moving forward and working with other counties in the state on an electronic filing system.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Judge Cascos and Commissioners. Charles Gray from the Conference of Urban Counties, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the prosecutor project that we're proposing that Cameron County participate in as part of our Tech Share program. As you know, you're already a participant in our program, in our collaborative contract for Odyssey implementation. You've implemented the civil court system. You have the criminal court system and the jail that's going to go online on about August the 22nd, and then we'll be moving forward in the JP courts. And we're here to offer you an additional project that supplements that. It's a new system for the prosecutor that includes electronic filing, and I'll go into some detailed explanation about how that works. We went through a planning project starting last fall through May, and we had a number of counties participated. Judge Nelson did participate, even though it was kind of in an ex officio capacity. And we delivered three things. We drafted rules for electronic criminal court filing to the Supreme Court, and they're now considering those for adoption. That would be a standard for all of Texas for filing criminal matters into the courts. You already have rules for filing civil matters, and this covers criminal. We did a strategic plan on integrated justice for county government.
Are the
that's
civil
available.
matters included in the Odyssey package?
Yes, yes, they are, Your Honor.
So the criminal or not?
Criminal or not, right now, criminal e-filing is not available in the Odyssey package. So, and there's a couple of projects for counties to consider. I'm going to talk to you about one of them today. These are the counties that participated in the planning project, and in a minute I'll talk to you about the counties that are going to go forward with this prosecutor system. I talked about the results already. The draft rules were submitted to the Supreme Court, and I'm going to present one of the projects to you today for consideration. The goal of the prosecutor project is to supplement what you already have in Odyssey and to take a system that's really become kind of the gold standard that's modeled after what's done in Harris County and Tarrant County and make it available to all the counties in Texas. This software will be owned and operated by the counties. It's not a licensed product. It's custom development. So the counties who participate will actually own the software, and they won't have to depend on a vendor to provide that software to them. The urban counties will do that through a collaborative effort. The costs will be shared by all the participants, so as you'll see in a minute, that makes the project reasonable in cost for all the counties. And this supports complete electronic processing across the criminal justice environment. Now, there's several ways that a case will be able to enter the county electronically. I'm going to go through a couple of examples and explain to you the benefits of them. First, a standard arrest from an arresting agency. When they bring an arrested person to the jail and they perform a live scan, which is an electronic fingerprint analysis, we're going to capture that information after it comes back from the Department of Public Safety with verification of their identity. So we'll have the new charges and the arrest report ready electronically from the agency. This is one point where the law enforcement agencies are now bringing paper to the county, and sometimes they're bringing the arrested person to the county without the paper, and you're waiting for weeks with that person in jail to get the paperwork needed to process this person. So this is going to put you in a position where you have the charges at the same time you have the prisoner. And the magistrate can then look at the charges. They can determine probable cause electronically by looking at the arrest report. They can issue the bond, and here's an interface to the Odyssey system, the sheriff's jail system, and also to the court, where we will actually file that electronically into the sheriff's system. Well, there's also an indigent defense module. It's being developed with grant funds that you'll have access to as part of this package that allows you to appoint attorneys across county boundaries. So if, for example, if attorneys practice in indigent defense in more than one county, Hidalgo and Cameron, for example, we can manage that in one single attorney database. Now, there's another way that an electronic record can get into the system, and this can also save money. And this is if the charging agency has a crime that they're investigating and a suspect and perhaps even a warrant. They can file that information with the DA intake unit to review the case even before an arrest is made. And the DA can determine if there's enough information, enough evidence to really prosecute the case before an arrest is even made. So this keeps the law enforcement agency from bringing prisoners to your jail where there really isn't sufficient information in the case to prosecute. This is all can be done electronically. It's being done right now in Harris County and Tarrant County electronically. And it's saving Tarrant County a lot of money in their jail population. Before they implemented this, they had overcapacity jail challenges every day. And they were able to get their jail capacity into the 80% area just through implementing this electronic review of charges prior to accepting the prisoner into the jail. The intake, the DA can also send those charges back to the charging agency, the law enforcement agency, for more information, more evidence to build a case before they accept the prisoner into jail. Once that charge is accepted, it's filed into Odyssey in the clerk's office as a charging instrument, an indictment or something like that, and can go through the grand jury process, which is included in this package as well. So the charging instruments can go to grand jury, and the grand jury process can then issue the formal indictment to the clerk. At that point, the case is turned over to the line prosecutor, and this system will include and does include a prosecutor case management system as well. So just like the court has a case management system, the prosecutor can have all their evidence and information in the computer electronically. And not only that, they can interact with the defense. So they can have their initial plea offer offered to the defense. They can negotiate a plea offer through a meeting of the minds. They can take that plea agreement to court, all that electronically to streamline that process. In addition, the defense will have electronic discovery, which means if the prosecutor's case is available to the defense bar electronically. So you have a record of when evidence was made available to the defense bar, you have a record of when the defense bar reviewed that evidence, and you have something that supports your DA's current policy for an open file system. So all this is part of an enhancement to your Odyssey product going forward. The next 2 pages kind of summarize the modules that are in the system, and I won't go into that in detail. I'll talk to you about what the next steps are. Dallas and Tarrant counties have already decided to fund this project going forward. And we're going to take their requirements and kind of consolidate them into a baseline that the other participants can then review and we can enhance based on what you do in Cameron County. So then we're going to plan the software development and make the software available to you. The software is available today in a beta form. It's being implemented in Midland County right now. And you may decide after you go through this project that you want to go ahead and take the version of the software that's available now and begin to implement it so you can begin to see some of the benefits from the product. or you can wait until some additional features are developed. There'll be a work plan, a budget, and an implementation plan for Cameron County will be developed and brought back to Commissioners Court for consideration before we move forward. Who's going to participate? Well, I mentioned already that Dallas and Tarrant have decided they're going to participate. We think that Travis County will participate, Bell County, and the Texas Association of Counties is actually going to participate with us, representing the interests of the smaller counties. We're hoping that Cameron County today will decide to enter into this interlocal agreement. We have a presentation tomorrow with Hidalgo County, and we're hoping that they're going to join us as well. So we're hoping we have 6 to 8 counties participate in this planning phase. How long will it take? And how much will it cost? Well, Dallas and Tarrant are going to fund the bulk of the cost, $276,000 for this next phase of the project. We're asking Cameron County to commit $31,000 to this planning activity. And what you'll get for that is the consolidated requirements for the prosecutor system, the detailed plans for development and integration into your environment, including all the specifications for hardware and such, an implementation plan and costs, and a project to move forward. Now, in meetings with Commissioner Benavides, of course, her question was, well, this is the cost now, but what's the total cost going to be? When you come back to us, Charles, in October or November, and you say, we've done all the planning and we'd like to move forward, what will it cost? And we estimate now that the total cost is going to be, including hardware, about $380,000. So that might be something that you want to discuss and consider as you make a decision about whether you want to participate in this phase. But in each phase of the project, we're going to bring it back to you in increments so you can see the big picture and you can see what the next steps are.
Yeah, but once you commit to that first step, you're almost locked in to finish it out. It would make no sense to spend $31,000 now and then not have the financial commitment to pursue it, or else we've just thrown $31,000 down the drain.
Well, that's a good point.
Correct? I mean, that's,
a good point,
in
Your
essence,
Honor.
that's what it is.
But let's say that we come back and instead of $380,000, it's $580,000.
Exactly.
Then you could decide, well, you know, wait a minute, Charles, you came to us on August 4th and told us it would be this, and now it's that. It gives you a chance to reconsider. And maybe it's just an automatic decision to move forward.
Let me ask you, the 300, whatever number it ultimately is, the 380,000, that would be paid within what time frame?
Probably over the next 2 fiscal years,
Okay.
2012 and 2013.
So we're talking $190,000, let's say, plus $31,000 in this upcoming fiscal year, with a commitment for at least another $190,000 the following fiscal year.
Yeah, Kevin Sines secured a grant of $80,000 for the hardware. So that $80,000 we already have, and the balance of that we included in the bond issue that we just did a couple of months ago.
So you've made arrangements for this money, Pete?
Yes,
Okay.
In total.
correct.
Also, from what I understand, and I got to see this project and how it worked, the money that we're going to be saving by not having to house these prisoners, and can you maybe explain to the rest of the court a little bit about how Tarrant County doesn't hold prisoners for the municipalities unless their paperwork's in and they're paying, and how that cost is a savings?
I can't comment on the specific numbers of their costs. I know their jail costs are in the $50 to $60 a day.
But just the process on how
The
that...
process is, in Tarrant County, if I go back to the picture that showed the charging agency submitting their paperwork to the intake down in the left-hand corner, that process is fully implemented now. And what the DA there has made a policy that he's advised the sheriff, and the sheriff was supporting the policy, that they won't accept the prisoner into jail until the DA has accepted the case. So they're requiring electronic filing from the local law enforcement agency. That saves money in a couple of ways. One, I'm sure you have a problem where prisoners are brought to jail without the paperwork, and you're booking them into jail and you're waiting on the paperwork. Well, that was a problem Tarrant County had. It was approximately 2 to 3 weeks in some cases was the average time they were waiting. So if you calculate per prisoner that cost of 2 or 3 weeks of jail time before they even see the charging documents, what that might cost. And second, they're not taking prisoners into jail where they don't feel there's sufficient information to prosecute the case. Now, I mentioned earlier that their jail population went from an average of 98% to around 82%. And their jail size is around 3,000 or 4,000 beds. So if you take a 10% reduction in their jail population, that could be $300 inmate days that are being saved right now every day through the system. So I'm not good at the math, but that sounds like about $150,000 a day that they're saving right now through the use of this system. Now, how that equates to your situation, number one, they do have a city jail where prisoners can be held while the charging documents are reviewed. It's not a cost the county incurs. I don't know if that's the situation here in all your cities. Number two, they have decentralized magistration. They're providing this magistration software to the cities as well. So all the magistration is done with county software, even if it's done by a city magistrate. So they get the information faster, and they can make determinations faster. Number three, live scan is critical to this process. And we have to make sure that your live scan operation is up and running and streamlined for this to really work. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I think you explained. Sam, since you're here, what are some of the...
I heard the 150 times whatever number, you know? Yeah, yeah. So that sounds good.
Sam, some of the agencies that we have, what's the average lag time on getting paperwork from some of the slower ones?
I told you I wasn't a math major. Pete says it's $15,000 a day.
15,000, okay.
Well,
That's
and our problem
times
is
30
a little...
times 365. 5.4 million a year.
A year.
Our problem in the jail is a little more critical than just 15 days not having paperwork. It'd be great if we got it from the majority of the charging agencies within 15 days. It's really much more critical than that. Many of our prisoners are sitting in our jail, for instance, on felonies alone, for well over 90 days with no paperwork to the DA's office. So it's a critical problem. And the judges had agreed also with this system to work with us in issuing some local rules that would require the police agencies to adhere to this program. Or we're not going to take their prisoners.
Well, we ought to not take their prisoners if they're not sending the paperwork.
I agree.
Let me ask you some hypotheticals. You'd have to have the cooperation from all your cities to begin with to do that. And if they're not willing to do that, in other words, they're going to show up on a Friday night, show up at the sheriff's office with somebody committed a crime, and they're going to leave them at the doorstep. Can the sheriff legally say, we're not going to take him
Can he require the paperwork?
before taking him? I keep hearing that.
Can I answer that, the way that problem's been addressed in Bear County? Let me explain how it's done in Bear County. They don't have decentralized magistration, but they have set up a facility in the jail. And when the police officer brings the person to the jail, as you described, without any paperwork, they ask the police officer to go into this room with the computer terminal and complete the paperwork. Enter it in the system right
Okay,
there.
let's assume the police officer doesn't want to do that.
I don't know, I can't comment on the authority the sheriff has or whether or not he's required.
Yeah, well, because my understanding is that the sheriff must accept that prisoner with or without.
What has Tarrant
paperwork.
County done?
I know what you're talking about. And there's an attorney general's opinion interpreting the statute that's been around a long time that says that the sheriff has to take that prisoner. Okay. Tarrant County handles that in a very simple way. We're not taking them unless the DA's office has a case and accepting it. And if you don't like that, sue us. The bottom line is they adhere to it. An attorney general's opinion is just that. It's an opinion. I'm not saying it doesn't carry weight, but the bottom line is it isn't a law.
Right, well, it carries weight until
It's challenged.
it's challenged and a law is passed. So it carries a lot of weight until someone challenges it. So really the key, one of the key players, aside from the cities, is that the sheriff has to, either say, he's going to stand and say, you know what, I'm not going to take them, and then, yeah, let's wait to get sued. But, lawyers don't mind lawsuits all the time. I don't think that's just a good way of doing business. I think it creates a lot of ill feelings, and there's something we can work out, but try to get all the cities to come on board to do this. is going to be somewhat challenging.
It took some time in Tarrant County
It did.
to get the cities on board. It took-
How long did it take them to educate and come to an agreement with all the
It took them about
cities?
3 years to have all the cities in the system.
Correct.
But now if you go to a law enforcement agency in Tarrant County and say, guess what? We're going to stop, we're going to go back the way we used to do it. They would not have it because they're saving money and time too. They're saving money in transporting paper when the
I agree. You know, it's a great project. It's just trying to get everybody to,
On board.
you know, yeah, to cooperate, say, this is a better mousetrap. We just got to make it work.
And I think, Judge, another way that you could handle the problem that you bring up is if the judges pass local rules that the charging agency must have the paperwork in within 2 days, 5 days, something like that, with that prisoner being put in our county jail, then they either have to come get their prisoner or they don't have to start paying the county a per diem rate. And I think when a city manager gets charged for 30 prisoners sitting over there at $50 a day, there'll be some changes.
Well, this is something that this body has to pretty much adopt, pass, and convey it over to them. And keep in mind that we'll have all the city managers and city elected officials and
But it's-
everybody else.
This is not a penalty.
No,
This is
it's-
an encouragement to do their paperwork on time.
Let's work together here. Oh, I don't think we need to bully anybody. I think we can bring them all to the table, show them what happened in Tarrant County, and they'll buy into it exactly like you're saying. It's
Well,
just a new way of doing things.
The savings for them is a lot. I mean, they don't have to send somebody over here with all the paperwork. They do not have to print it out on hard paper to bring to us either. It's all gonna be
Right.
transferred electronically. It's a big savings.
I agree.
That we can sell the cities on also.
But
Sam,
Judge, you're right. You find a city that wants to make this work as your pilot, and you work with them and you make it work, and you set an example. That's how you get started. And I think that the county's already working on that, trying to find a city that would like to work on this. This discussions have already been with some of the law enforcement agencies and city officials.
Our cities are on board, I'm pretty sure.
I know we had met in the past, well, since I came on board, we had several large meetings. We brought law enforcement agencies. I know that the city of Brownsville, which is one of our largest cities, and I believe that also Harlingen, they're the ones that probably produce the most prisoners, okay? They're on board. So, I mean, it's just a matter, it's not that we're bullying them, but I mean, come on, I mean, why should we handle all that extra financial burden? You know, they have to do their work just like we have to do ours.
It's a win-win for both parties. And to get back to our particular situation, it isn't fair that the county has to bear costs, per diem costs for prisoners when we can't even charge them. It's not our fault, and it's good for the cities, it's good for us. And as Charles says, we would probably start with Harlingen, make it work well. Brownsville, I've talked to Chief Garcia, they're ready to do it also.
And ultimately, from the very beginning, when we came on board with Odyssey, this was the ultimate goal of trying to get the e-filing system, get Odyssey going for the criminal section, and with the civil sections also. So I think we're well on our way, and we should pursue it.
And I'll throw one other thing. Once this was fully implemented in our county, we had all of the municipalities send us cases, the DA's office, as far as case files, will really be a paperless office. We won't be spending money on paper and won't be spending money on ink as far as case preparations are concerned.
Charles, when you mentioned that total dollar amount that you mentioned, and I know that it's not a static number, but just a ballpark figure, does that include what's necessary at the different municipalities?
That's a good question. There is a piece of this software that runs on the police officer's computer. in the current version of software. But we're moving that to the web, to the cloud, so to speak, so they can use any browser to enter their charging documents. So if they went on the system right now, yes, there might be an upgrade to some of their equipment to run the software, but by the time we fully implement it, we're hoping it's not. So, but that's not included in the costs, any local agency costs.
Okay. But that would be very minimal in relation to the package.
Basic scanner would work.
Basic scanner, a computer to enter the arrest report, something like that.
And most agencies have computers as it is, I mean.
Right. And as I
And scanner.
mentioned, in Bear County, for those agencies that don't, of course, Bear County has some smaller police agencies as well. You know, they have a facility there at the jail where they can enter their paperwork into the computer right there.
That's a good idea. Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item carries.
Charles, thank you for coming down and working with us on this. Really appreciate it.
Item J.
So we can say that by September, this software is going to be available?
Where is he?
Which one? I'm not sure.
The software's available today.
Right.
And what we're going to do now is we're going to do an implementation plan for your county so that by October you can decide how you want to move forward with it.
Or by October, we make a
You
decision?
may decide, we want to take the
Okay.
software now and move forward, or we want to phase it in.
Okay, and that phase-in period would be just as quick as we could work with the different entities?
I think
to-
it would take probably 2 years, as I said to Judge Coscos, to really get it fully deployed.
Okay,
Got it.
thank you.
What, did you want to do J also? All these out of the way before we?
Yeah,
Or
if
do you
you
wanna
want to
do-
do H first, then we can do JK and L.
Okay, let's do H, public hearing by Cameron County concerning redistricting of county commissioner precincts to comply with the 2010 census data. Let me, before we get started on that, let me do this. We're going to have, I'd like to have another public hearing on this, coupled with a public hearing on the budget before we adopt the final precinct lines. I'd like to do it at some time like 5:30 on a weekday to give the public the opportunity to come by and listen or participate. So this is fine today, but just so you all know, we'll be scheduling another one to allow the public to come in after 5 o'clock or 5:30, maybe next week or the weekend after, okay? Okay, David?
Yes, sir. Judge, Commissioners, this is a public hearing, so maybe you want a motion to go into a public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Sanchez to open public hearing. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries.
Judge, Commissioners, this is the first public hearing on redistricting for the county commissioners' lines as per the 2010 census. As you mentioned, you had recommended 2 hearings, at least 2 hearings. We will work on the next hearing at 5 o'clock in the next couple of weeks or so, or whenever you all feel you want to have it. Rolando Rios, who is the redistricting consultant for the county, is here. The map that is on the screen right now has been on our website for almost 2 weeks now. It was put on there on the 22nd of July. It's a modification of the map that was presented at the first hearing. Most of the changes have occurred in the boundary lines for precinct 3 and for precinct 4. So at this point, if there's any questions for Mr. Rios, or if there's anybody from the public that would like to.
David, do you have the old map?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you show that? And just do it real quick, so to show the way it looked like before we redid the lines, and then show this map again. So show the old map first.
You know, I want to just make one comment in relation to the old map that over the course of years has brought to light a few things.
the
Our
old map.
precinct lines, yeah, there's the old map, but our precinct lines were not necessarily the voting precinct block lines. So in some cases, we had folks that had me as a commissioner, but they voted in precincts 4 election. So I don't know if Alfonso's here today from our GIS department, but I know that he's working with Mr. Rios in making sure this time and working with with Roger Ortiz, that we use voting precinct lines as precinct lines for all of us in the county. It makes it a lot easier to explain to someone, why they're in the precinct they're in versus voting in your precinct, but the road in front of their house belongs to my precinct.
Right.
So
go back and, this is the way it was from 2000?
No, sir, this is the map that was presented, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago? This is not the current JP,
No, I understand that. Which map is this? Wasn't that the original?
No, that's not the original.
We want the 2000.
No, this is not 2000.
Our current map, you don't have our current map the way we are today?
No, that was the one that beforehand.
No, that's the current proposed map.
No. This one here is what?
At the first meeting that we had 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, we put up a map.
Right.
This is it right here.
Right. Now show the new and improved version.
This is the one that was on there right now.
I know
Put it
that.
back on.
I just want the public to see the way it was, and what
Right.
we were trying to do last time was,
He didn't go back far enough.
yeah, make it, want to show, there you go. You don't have those claws that are going up towards the west
That's correct.
on this new map. The lines are a little bit cleaner.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Lando, do you have anything on that? Does this comply with whatever rules we need to comply with in terms of
Yes,
all the,
the white line on there is your original lines. The deviation in this
Yeah.
plan goes down to 2.9, Judge, and absolutely correct. The districts 2, 3, and 4 are a lot more compact than they were before. You've done a tremendous job of up there. That whole area up there used to be one of the claws, and then the other area down
Right.
here was another of the claws. Well, those are almost virtually gone. The two commissioners did a real job of getting that together, Judge.
okay. This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to make public comment on the proposed,
Rolando, do you have the totals per precinct now, the volume, the population amounts?
I hadn't printed out a printout because we were working it still and the numbers were changing. But with this Plan A1 modified that Commissioner and I worked over the weekend, Precinct 1's got 102,354. Precinct 2's got 103,161. Precinct 3's got 100,575. And Precinct 4's got 100,148. So as you can see, 1 and 2 are within 1,000 of each other, and 3 and 4 are within hundreds of each other.
okay, but what's the smallest versus the largest population?
The smallest is Precinct 4's got 100,148. The largest one is 103,000, which is Precinct 2, 103,161, with a total top to bottom deviation of 2.97.
Okay, so what's the difference? 2,800, 2,700 votes?
Something,
2,700
under
people?
3,000.
How much?
Under 3,000.
10 votes.
No, the difference between 2 and 4.
Probably,
10
let's see here,
votes.
3,000.
About 3,000?
Right about at 3,000.
And that's within the range?
Oh, yes, the range
Okay.
is 10%.
Okay.
This is an excellent plan.
We gave you a better map than the one you had originally given us?
Excellent, you did. You absolutely did.
Does that mean that you reimburse for that
I'm
fund?
amazed. Well, I don't know if I want to go that far, Commissioner.
Well, just for the, just
Can I
for the.
borrow
sake-
your pointer?
You've got the, probably the smallest population in what used to be the largest rural precinct.
Still is pretty.
And, no, I think 3 now is bypassed in terms of territory. Precinct 4.
There's no people.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of folks.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Rios, can you repeat that number for precinct 1? 102,354.
354.
354.
That's a lot of mailers, man.
That's right.
Doing the math.
One thing that I'd like to say is, previously, this right here was the line. This right here was part of Precinct 4, which is mine.
Right.
And I've had phone calls and people that I currently have in the Arroyo City area and even Rio Hondo that are saying, you know, why did you get rid of us, or why do you want to get rid of us? Well, it's not about wanting to get rid of anybody. For practical purposes.
So you didn't tell him the truth?
Well, I didn't tell him you forced me,
I
but
forced you.
right here is where our yard is, okay? And in that spot, Public Works has its headquarters for Precinct 4. Commissioner Garza is right around here. So what happens is, to go up here, from here is a lot farther to go from here to here. Also, Commissioner Garza used to have this area, so to come from here over here would take a lot more time. So what we're doing is we're cutting down time on Public Works having to travel to get there, taking machinery to get the work done, which in effect allows them to get more work done. So it's not about trying to get rid of people or cutting people out. It's about trying to get the most efficient we can in where we're at. And that's why we came up with this plan. Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Garza.
And I think the same can be said with the area that Commissioner Hernandez has given up, which is this right here, right? Correct. You know, that area is also of closer proximity to where work is done from. And I think one thing that should be mentioned is that that's pretty much kind of like the way it looked in 2000 when I first came on board. It was like that, except at that time it included this area here, which was the island right there. You know, but everything else is pretty much the same as it was way in the beginning. And I mean, all I can say to people, because I've had the calls too, you know, that say, well, you're working on this road today, and you're going to be leaving us in a year or something. And I know we were experienced it on Dilworth Road, and I said, well, the road is getting done. I mean, jobs are getting done, things are getting done. I think we all answer our calls in the same manner. You know, we're there to serve the folks regardless of where they live. Yes. And, you know, I mean, we just want to be efficient and effective with the work that is done. And I think that this is, you know, the numbers worked out right. The population numbers worked out right.
Excellent.
You know.
Any public comment? Well, I want to thank the commissioners for developing a plan that I believe will get unanimous support for first time since I've been here.
Judge,
Yo,
the only thing I would just want to mention, that Mr. Rios mentioned, is that Commissioner and him worked on tweaking it a little bit in Commissioner Hernandez's precinct. So this is not what they worked on. This is what's been on the website for the last 12 days, 13 days.
well, how much does it deviate? Is there just a couple of neighborhoods or something? Well, that's what you're doing this morning.
Right.
You know,
And
hopefully
so-
you'll bring that final one when we have the
Yes,
next and final public hearing.
right.
So tweak that and get that one ready for us.
Well, and make sure that it's tweaked where census blocks are the precinct lines. That's really important, you know. Makes it a lot easier for folks to understand. And maybe you should explain to the general public what I mean by that, Rolando, because I know, but I think that probably the majority of the folks out there don't. Because I didn't until earlier this morning.
What it is actually, the law requires that none of your commissioner precinct lines split a voting precinct.
Okay.
Okay? There is a problem because I sent the shapefiles for the congressional and state house seats to Roger, and they split a number of voting precincts. You can't change those lines, but you can change your commissioner precinct lines.
Right.
So we're trying to reconcile all those things.
Right.
And the other issue is that those aren't final lines either because it's in court, it's gonna go to trial in September, October, there could be some other.
Yeah,
minor
but the
changes.
voting, the census blocks are set in lines,
That's correct.
okay? And could you explain to the court and to the folks what a census block is and how many blocks we have in Cameron County?
Right. Well, there's thousands, but there is a census tract, then there's a census block group, and the smallest census unit is a census block. Census block is the one that allocates population. When you draw your commissioner precincts, you have to use a census block. You can't split a census block because it's the smallest unit, and sometimes a block is strange, like you said. So when you draw the line, that line has to follow the census block, which may not make a lot of sense sometimes. But that's done by the Census Bureau, and you can't split a census block. And that's what creates that kind of chaos. But I will tell you this, Commissioner, that every time we draw a line with voting precincts and commissioner precinct lines, they go down the middle of the street. So you could have somebody across the street voting in a different precinct, and you're across the street and you're in a different precinct.
We experienced that.
Yes, sir.
But that's okay when it's the middle of the street.
Yes.
You know, it's when it's behind the people's
I know.
property, and Roger Ortiz has them in a different voting block that creates the issue.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? Do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let me go to 4R, because Tony needs to scoot. 4R, discussion on the procedures for registration or renewal of motor vehicle licenses. Commissioner?
Tony's here, right?
Yes.
And I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda. I don't know about offices in other places, but I know that I've had some concerns called in from the offices in Harlingen and San Benito. And I called Tony, and I think that it would be good if we all got the explanation as to the rules, as to how you can go about purchasing license plates and renewing license plates in the county. I've had, some issues, and I think that hopefully Tony can explain them and inform, the court and the constituents as to why he has to do what he does.
I put a little, some information together, Commissioner, as to the type of scenarios, the 3 or 4 type of scenarios that come before the office. And of course, on each one, on each title transaction or registration, we do require and have required for several years now. And this is in accordance with the provisions of the motor vehicle manual or statutes, that we do require an ID, because we want to make sure that the individual standing before us is the registered owner, or that the person in front of us has the authority or has the permission of the owner to register the motor vehicle. Yes, we've had calls, but this is a safety precaution that we have put in place because of us being next to the border and stolen vehicles, falsifying titles and so forth. But this is what's required in the office in accordance with the statutes and sections and rules and policies. And
the complaints I've had, Tony, have dealt only renewal of license plates.
Yes, sir.
So which scenario would that be?
That would be it would comply with any scenario, Commissioner. It's either to renew the motor vehicle, that would be scenario 1. A person attempting to renew a motor vehicle must present satisfactory evidence of ownership and proof of where they live, because state law requires that they have an address in Cameron County. Or if somebody else is coming in to renew their license tags, well, we want to know that they have permission to renew that individual's vehicle. And of course, this is for either renewal or title transfers.
Okay. And I'll give you the specific example of one of the concerns was a local dentist sends his wife over, and they won't renew his license plates because she has her driver's license, not his driver's license.
Right, exactly.
And, he's upset because he says, well, why do I have to take time from my day to go renew this, when my wife is there, she has a driver's license, she has the same address as I do on the renewal form of the vehicle
Right.
that is titled to me, and she can't buy license plates.
Right.
Okay, that was one of the concerns.
Well, in that case, Commissioner, we used to, use common sense. If the name and address, especially the last name, match the information, we used to. But a couple of years ago, Richard Burst was here. We had an individual that filed a complaint that apparently they were getting a divorce, and he came over to renew the license tax on the wife's car. And of course, he took off to Houston, and she filed a complaint that why did we renew the license tax on her vehicle? And we said, well, it had the same last name, same address, and the insurance had both your names. He said, well, but we're getting a divorce, he has no business. Well, how in the world are we supposed to know they're getting a divorce? So apparently the vehicle was in question in the divorce procedures. So what we did is that from now on, if the individual has the driver's license of the other owner, of course, that tells us that the other owner gave that person, or the wife or husband gave permission to renew the license tax because they have their ID. So that was, she filed a complaint with the legal department, and we went through the whole 9 yards, and we just needed to change the procedures.
So Tony, if I'm getting a divorce and it's a long drawn-out divorce, and my license tags need to be renewed, and the court hasn't decided who the car is going to go to,
Well,
how are you going to?
Well, it's a problem. It's going to be an issue between.
Look, we collect money when you sell the license plates, and that was my biggest concern.
Right.
And, we're failing to collect funds for road and bridge, funds for the RMA, and, when people don't buy a license plate. And I'll give you another example that really kind of hit home, because the person walked into my office with this complaint, and it was a lady from Dallas, Texas, that came to visit her dad in San Benito. She noticed that her dad's license plates in the car were expired. She got the renewal form for her from him. She says, Dad, your license plates, I don't want you driving without license plates. He's
Right.
87.
Right.
She goes over to the tax office, and she takes, No, he's a good driver. He's a good driver. But,
I'm for senior citizens.
it's a long ways for them to go to your office and renew there in San Benito.
Right.
So she went over to renew, and she came to our office very upset because she couldn't renew her dad's driver's license. She had, like the bill, the license, and her license, and they would not sell her the license plates. And she says, I'm just trying to help him. I'm here for a day. I'm leaving, and I can't, she says, they don't do this in Dallas, As a matter of fact, she says, get online. And you can buy them online before they expire. So why are they requiring all this stuff from me when I come into the office, when I just get online and I can order them?
Because of scofflaw.
Yeah, but the SCOS law doesn't go into effect till September of this year.
Right, but you're right.
But the SCOF law is in effect for all the cities in Cameron County.
So in this case, the lady couldn't buy the license plates.
Apparently not.
Okay.
But I've never received a complaint.
No, I called you, Tony.
No, I know you. But
I says, hey, man,
Let me ask a question. When
I've
someone is
never had a
going to,
complaint of this nature.
Tony, when someone's going to buy through the mail, and because you have that option for an extra dollar or two,
Right.
then what is, all that you require is a copy of the insurance?
Of the insurance and the ID.
Oh, also the
Yes,
ID?
sir. Yes, sir.
Is it written somewhere on what you're, because I've never noticed. I just sent the copy of the insurance and,
I believe it's in the renewal notice.
is it? Okay.
Yes.
How about online?
online, I'm not sure.
You just do an attestation that you're insured.
Right.
You don't have to provide proof.
Well, then, I think we need to give, within the parameters of his responsibility, what recommendations does the court want to give him to do to facilitate
Well,
getting the license tax? I mean,
the procedures are followed, Judge, by what the statute mandates.
so let me ask you, so what your office is doing is strictly by the statute in
Yes.
terms of following?
Yes,
You're not
sir.
implementing any discretion?
sir.
So why would someplace in Dallas do
I
something
have
different?
no idea.
There is discretion because the statute gives the discretion to the local tax assessor collector.
Well,
The statute does not require each item. I mean, I think, is Mr. Hernandez here? He's back there, we
Sure.
went through the statute line by line, and everything that we could find
Well, it's a-
gives you the discretion.
Well, each scenario has a section of the statute and a code and a page and where it gives us, it tells us what to ask for, and we're just asking for the minimum.
Well, they have to be residents of Cameron County.
Exactly.
Did the statute address the divorce issue? No. It just says that you must present yourself with an ID that's a resident of the county.
Exactly. And we did, and,
Well, you asked for more.
no, on that case, we got in trouble because.
Well, you didn't get in trouble.
Well,
Somebody got a
they-
licensed car,
Well,
and they're not breaking the law.
Well, the wife filed a complaint
And we
because
got
we did it, and.
we got our
but-
fees.
Right here, the statute says 502.151, an application for vehicle registration must be made on a form furnished by the department, contain the full name and address of the owner of the vehicle, contain a brief description of the vehicle, contain any other information required by the department, and be signed by the owner.
And?
Well, and I made.
Isn't that what you're doing?
Yes. I made several calls and asked other tax collectors, and everybody requires an ID of the person in front of them.
In
Bruce.
front of them.
And looking at the statute,
front of them,
does it require identification to be presented?
Joe is the one.
Or Joe?
He's,
Joe, you
Legal
want to come
counsel?
up and?
I mean,
And I think we've got probably several issues here.
I mean, if I'm having this concerns brought to my attention, there's got to be occurring somewhere else.
I've had
I've never-
had people call me too.
Yeah, the Transportation Code statute.
Joe, if you could speak into the microphone, please.
The Transportation Code statute, 502.002, requires some type of evidence that the owner of the vehicle is a resident of the county. And it doesn't define what that evidence is, and I called the DMV, and their general counsel says they leave that up to the county, or the individual assessor collectors. If a renewal notice from the state wasn't received or is lost or whatever, they require quote unquote personal identification, and the statute specifically, or the rule specifically, leaves that to the discretion of the assessor collector as well. Starting January 1, the Transportation Code is going to require personal identification, as well as proof of residency within the county. So starting January 1.
September 1.
September 1.
Actually, I think it's
January
January 1. There's
They have-
parts of the statute take
Part of it.
effect September 1.
Well, I think you're looking at Senate Bill 2357.
Correct.
If you go to the House Bill 2017, it goes into effect September 1st.
Okay, well, see, what I've got here is sections 195 and 246 and 215 or 195 and 246 take effect September 1. 215 takes effect September 1, 2014, and the rest of the act takes effect January 1, 2012. And that's from the Texas Legislature's online synopsis of the bill. But either way, either September 1 of this year or January 1 of next year, some type of photo ID is
Will
going
be
to
required. And that's the bill that you got passed, correct, Mr. Iseguirre?
No, the bill that we got passed was the scofflaw bill, which requires that we search a database for any unpaid warrants or tickets. And that goes into effect September 1st.
Change the technical language
Yes,
that
yes.
didn't allow counties to do it
That
before.
coincides with the cities.
Is that a personal ID of the owner of the vehicle or the person buying the
The-
license plate?
The owner of the vehicle,
Okay, not the person buying the license plate,
not the person.
but you require
Yes,
an ID of the person
Yes,
buying
we
the
do,
plate
because
too.
we want to know that because we've had several instances, the owner comes in and says, who authorized you to issue the license plates for the vehicle? And the problem is, on scenario 4, if you look at it, a lot of vehicles are sold but not transferred. And that happens often. And the individual that purchased the vehicle, it didn't have the vehicle transferred under their name, come in and try and renew their license tags under somebody else's name.
Yeah, but normally you have like what you get in the mail to renew, right?
They don't need a renewal notice in order to do a renewal.
But isn't that the way most people do it?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, but in South Texas, I'd say about 25% of the vehicles are not registered to the actual driver of the car. They're sold without being transferred. But that's the way it is. Hidalgo County, I think their percentage is about 35%.
Wow. In transit.
I just would hope that we would do something to make sure if somebody wants to buy a license plate, that, you know, and they're legitimate, that we don't make it so difficult, because I've had situations in which they've required, you know, if a car is in two persons' names, they require a driver's license from each person that the car is onto. And then if you send a third party to go buy our license plates, they require that individual's license also.
As well?
As well. You know, and that's like a triple overkill, you know? I mean, they've got an insurance card, they've got copies of their driver's license, you know, I mean, I don't know, at some point in time, you know, we're there to perform a function.
Let me ask Tony a couple of questions on, we'll just keep it real simple. I go to get my license plate renewed. I walk up to your window, and they're going to ask me for what?
An ID.
Okay.
Proof of insurance and your ID.
That's it?
That's it.
Walk off, okay. I go to the window, and I show up with a license plate belonging to a vehicle that is owned by a corporate entity. And it's ABC Inc.
Right.
So the owner of the vehicle is ABC Inc. What type of ID would you ask for from the person coming up with that?
9 out of 10, that information is on the insurance card, and we had one not too long ago that was sent over by Commissioner Hernandez, I think. The renewal notice had ABC Inc., and of course, we didn't know who that person was in front of us, and the insurance, we asked for a copy of the insurance. He didn't have it, but as soon as we got a copy of the insurance, it said Carlos Cascos is ABC Inc.
Okay, but most insurance will not have that if it's a true Inc. It'll just say ABC Inc. with the address.
Well, this one did, or he
No,
called
I'm
his
talking about one that does not, just says ABC Inc.
Well, we're going to ask him to show.
And I show you my driver's license, but that doesn't mean that I
Exactly.
am the owner or an officer or director of that Inc. So I'm just asking because as I'm listening to y'all speak, there's a lot of things that can happen, and you've got to have standardized rules, you know, throughout your office, because you can't have an employee guess what type of.
Usually, the data system has a name on the state system as to who ABC Inc. is, and usually it's the person that comes into the office.
Okay, I don't know if that answers my question, but ABC Inc., I'm not I just show up because the owner asked me to come by and do this, and or a client or something, so I'm there. Would you ask for my ID? Would I be able to pick up my renewal, or the renewal for that entity?
Yes.
By just providing the insurance of that vehicle?
The insurance and your ID, the
And
person
my
in front
ID?
of us, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, you know, Ernie's out of town and his car's about to expire. He says, hey, can you go by and pick up my mean, I would do that for him. Go by and pick up my license tag. Somebody has it, go by and pick it up. I show up to your office with his proof of insurance on his Suburban. Do I need a picture ID of his and mine?
What we require is both, yes, because.
Okay, you'd require,
His ID.
because he's given me permission to do this,
Because we
and,
don't know if he gave you permission.
right, and you're assuming that if I've got a picture of his driver's license in
Yes,
my
sir.
wallet,
Yes, sir.
it's because he gave me permission to go and do this, and plus you're gonna ask for ID for me as well.
Exactly.
Right. Now, what do you do with his license? When he comes up to you, just look at it? You make a copy of it? What do you do?
We,
They just look at it, right?
Well, we, because of the scofflaw program, we run it through the database, and that's one of the issues that.
Not Ernie's, but the judges.
Both.
Why do you run his?
Well, just to let him know that if he does have any violations, he gets a copy of the warrant.
But you're not going to deny him,
No,
right?
No, we're not going to deny him. We just let him know, hey, you have pending citations in Port Isabel, and here's your copy, and you're going to get stopped one of these days. It's just a.
Well, then I call Commissioner Sanchez to bail me out.
Yes.
From the, okay. I
Like
mean,
Bob Barker said, if the price is right.
the price is,
It's just.
that's what I keep hearing.
I mean, it's just a courtesy, just to let the runner or the individual.
So you'll still renew it?
Yes,
You won't deny it based on him not
right.
being
Because he's not the
current?
owner. But we'll notify him. We'll give him that form letter.
So in this particular case, Commissioner Gatz is talking about, a lady shows up with her dad's, I guess the error that occurred in your viewpoint was that
She didn't have his ID.
she did not have his ID.
Right.
So
He's
there
the
was,
owner of the vehicle.
right, okay.
Right.
And is that written somewhere in the law that the owner of the vehicle must present or have presented some kind of a picture, I guess it's a picture ID that they got to show?
Well,
Not
that's,
until September 1st.
that's our, with existing statutes and rules.
Yeah, I'm talking about today, right now.
Today, there's a
Okay, so-
page. That's our interpretation.
So at a minimum, oh, that's your interpretation?
Yeah,
Well, that's-
it's not written in there. It's not written in here. That's a rule that you've interpreted.
No, that's a rule by TxDOT on the motor vehicle registration, page 14.1.
What section of the statute are you referring?
The registration manual that we get supplied by
So there's
TxDOT.
not a statute.
It's a rule that they approved.
So it's not a statute?
It's not a statute.
Okay. So it's not law, it's just their own rule.
Right.
It may be an administrative rule, TxDOT has certain Texas administrative rules.
Well, now it's Texas Department of Motor Vehicles.
Right.
Okay, so at a minimum, just in closing, because in minimum, then the person whose the vehicle belongs to, that, at a minimum, they have to present you with some kind of a picture ID, correct?
Some kind of ID.
Does it have to have a picture on it?
Not necessarily, no, sir.
Well, then you go back to another story. How do you know that that's their ID?
Or some kind of ID. That's what, I mean, everybody carries a driver's license.
Okay. I don't know if this solves anything, quite frankly, but.
It doesn't?
What is it that you would recommend that, aside that, I know we need the money,
I
but.
don't know, I think we should sell license plates and keep people driving legal, and if there's a divorce proceeding going on, that's gonna be ironed out outside of your jurisdiction or our jurisdiction. If some, older individual that has difficulties going to pick up license plates, send someone, I think that we need,
Well,
you need to use
we tell-
discretion within the law
We tell,
to provide.
we've asked our employees to use common sense in different type of scenarios, but, because.
I can see, look, I can see where you would ask for ID that belongs to the vehicle registration. That would give you some comfort level in terms of the person got permission by getting a copy of the ID. And I think you need to have that, because a lot of times, people will go out and get a sticker that doesn't belong to that vehicle, another vehicle. They just show up, here, I'm getting this, and it's kind of a rolling.
It happens every day.
It does, okay? And the only way to tell is that because the serial or the license plate number is printed on that.
But you gotta have proof of insurance before they sell you anything.
Doesn't
And
matter.
and proof of insurance has a vehicle identification number.
That's
on it,
correct.
Yes.
Okay?
That's correct.
So if you have that also, you know, where are you gonna get that if you're just borrowing, quote?
Well, if, the way it can happen is if you have an insurance policy that has multiple vehicles on it, and, you know, for some reason, this vehicle is junked, it's still on your insurance, you need a license tag, so you go down, I'm gonna get it for this one. I mean, there's ways to do it. You know, if you have only one vehicle on there, I understand, but, you know, I know, that I've got several, you know, a couple of cars on that.
Are we getting coffee for water? Is there a delivery charge? Yes. And you have to show proof of ID.
Okay. Commissioner, any other questions? I mean, I don't know what else Tony can do at this point, but.
I think people, what you haven't said is that it's very easy in Brownsville to get insurance for 1 month, just to kind of, especially if you get a ticket, you go buy the 1 month insurance, they dismiss that particular charge of your ticket. So maybe because insurance is so easily accessible, that's why people have to drive a car in, pay $38 for 1 month's insurance, and now they're legal for 30 days, and then they might try to come down and there's a lot of ways to kind of skirt the system.
Or there's a lot of fake ID cards. All you have to do is, you know, with the systems out there, you can print your own insurance card. And you know, it happens all the time.
Yeah, but you don't have a way to verify, you know, insurance registration or insurance ID, what is it?
No, no, we don't, but at least we have a picture of that person that came in whenever there's if something happens.
You keep a copy of that?
We keep a copy only if that person comes up in the scofflaw system, only.
Well, there is a way to check if your insurance is current.
The system has.
Doesn't your DMV or
Yes, it
the
does.
new name?
But I think it only has about 80% of the policy holders in the system.
Well, because I know that when I've been stopped and I can't find my current one, the officer will say, no, I ran your plates and you do
Yes,
have insurance.
Our system shows, if the clerk sees that the system shows that you have insurance, we don't ask for your insurance card.
So you do have a way to verify
But
that.
if it doesn't show if that column or that
Then you need
area
to see it.
is blank, then we request insurance.
Well, that's good.
All right, anything else?
Sell plates.
Okay?
I don't think it means barbecue plates, but.
No, I mean license plates. Keep people, you know, I mean, do everything you can within the law to help facilitate folks being legal. And, you know, the concerns now, I'm just, call Tony, you know.
Exactly.
But, you know, that's not the case. The case is, most folks want to do things right. Maybe in Brownsville they don't, as Ernie said, I don't know, but, you know.
Hey, watch it there.
Ernie said, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tony. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Pete, are there other ones that you want to get to before?
Just J, K, and L,
Okay.
please.
Item 4J. If I can find it. Yeah. Discussion and recommendation of employee group health benefits of TAC by insurance consultant Ken Withy and Associates.
Yeah, Mr. Weethy's here to do a presentation and then talk about the items that are in under J, K, and possibly L.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Ken, how are you?
Thank you, sir.
For the record, my name is Ken Wethy. I'm the independent consultant on a retainer basis for review of employee benefit matters. You have the report that I prepared, which takes us through 57 months that would end May 31, 2011. And there's a cover letter which would be some highlights of our self-funded program. Our account fund balance has been growing. The initial year in my report would be 2006, 2007. We were with Mutual of Omaha, and we developed a negative balance of $1,129,000 for that plan year. Then we did the request for proposal process and entered into an interlocal agreement with Texas Association of Counties and their contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas and Caremark, the prescription drug program. And that second year, we developed a fund balance just for that year of $2,075,386. And then we renewed through that interlocal agreement, and the result was favorable again. We developed a fund balance of about $1.4 million, and then for the 2009-10 year, we developed a fund balance of $682,000. As we're looking at it, for the 8 months ended this year, we're at a contribution of $469,000. So the program has been working well. You've been able to reduce your contributions into the fund, and there's a handout that I've just provided to you that would summarize how that fund balance has been developing, and we'll go through that a little bit later. Another significant item to review would be our large claims, and the baseline, the year we were with Mutual of Omaha, we had 22 claims that exceeded $50,000. As we went into that new year with TAC Blue Cross, our number of large claims dropped to 9, and for the year 2008-09, we had 15, and 2009-10, we had 12, and where we're at this year, we're at 8 claims. So moving down to an important item, which would be our provider contracts that we have. When we were with Mutual of Omaha, that contract with the medical providers, the overall discount was 40%. When we moved into the new contract with TAC Blue Cross, that discount increased substantially to 62.8%. And then it's held at about that 62%, but this year it's at 66%, 66.3%. Now that may be because the providers have raised their prices and we've got the same contracts that we had before. So the large claims plus the provider contracts have been a significant item in the development of the fund balance. If I could now take you to page 1 of the report. This is summarizing by plan year costs on a per member per month basis. This report that I've been presenting to the Commissioners Court over the years, we've been tracking the number of participants in terms of members, the employees, plus the number of dependent units that we have. And so the plan has been growing a little bit over the years. We started out with 2,582 average members, and today we're at 2,817 members. When we look at how our costs have been going on a per member per month basis, in terms of fixed costs, when we were with Mutual of Omaha, that fixed cost was $53.24 per member per month, and then it dropped significantly to $44.25, and then it's held at about that, but been diminishing a little bit because we've been able to negotiate contracts that were fairly stable with minimal increases, but our participation number of members has been growing. A key item for why we were able to reduce that fixed cost is we moved our deductible per individual claim from 100,000 per individual to 200,000. And so as our claims came down, we had more control over those claims, it appears, and our discounts improved. We were able to reduce that cost for the stop-loss insurance by about $500,000 per year. So that's been a contributing item to why our fund balance has been growing. In terms of paid claims, our baseline when we were with Mutual of Omaha was $249 per member per month, and we've been able to hold that. It's increasing just a little bit, and today we're at $201.87 per member per month. So when we put all the pieces together of our fixed cost plus our claim costs, we were able to reduce the per member per month cost by about 25% when we changed to the contract we're with now. And then we've had some small increases, 4.2% for the year 2008, 2009, and 5.2% 2009-10. But this year, as we look at it 8 months into the year, we're at a 3.1% reduction.
Decrease.
Decrease. And so, again, we've got some favorable signs showing here. If I take you to page 2, this is the format, and I've got the full report for the year in this report, but what I do is I take your contributions by the county and the employees and track by month and give you the total amount separated by type of coverage, whether we're active employees, the COBRA, and the retirees, and then we have the combined. And so we're tracking the total revenue that we bring in, whether we get any stop-loss recovery. 8 months into this year, we've had none. We also track our prescription drug rebates, and that amount 8 months into the year is $67,000. Then we look at our expenses. Our fixed cost expenses have been $983,365. Total expenses, $5,487,000. We come down to our loss ratio by employment status, and our active employees were running about 84% loss ratio. But when we get to the COBRA and the retirees, we got a much higher loss ratio on those two categories. So overall, when we match the revenue against the expenses, we've had a gain year-to-date of $489,825, which is a loss ratio of 92.1%.
469. 469.
469,825. Thank you. Then moving to page 3, this is showing you how we are tracking the expenses by medical, drug, the total, and then the number of units that we have coming up with our per member per month cost that I had on my lead schedule. If we go to page 4, this is telling us our large claims that we've had 8 months into the year, and so far we've only had one claim that exceeded $100,000, and that amount was $191,852. We've had no claims that have exceeded our individual stop-loss deductible of $200,000. The one large claim that we're showing, that individual is deceased, so there will be no potential recovery on that. If I move to page 5, we have aggregate stop-loss insurance coverage that protects our plan overall, and we match the claims less the stop-loss recovery to determine whether we're due any amounts of money on this aggregate insurance, and in this case, no, because our claims are substantially less than what that aggregate deductible would be. So we're doing well in that area. If we move to our enrollment information, page 6, this is just telling you how I'm tracking the coverages by month, by category, split between medical and drug. Page 7 is now giving you the enrollment summary for that was by employment status. Now I'm tracking it, the employee coverages, and then if I move to page 8, this is tracking it on the members, number of members that we have, and then page 9, this is telling month by month how our provider discounts are holding up, and as I mentioned earlier, the overall discount is 66.3%. Month of December, we had a high of 70%. When we say the discount, this is for all services, whether you're in-network or out-of-network. The participation for in-network is very high. There's favorable contracts, favorable number of medical providers participating in this program. The participation in-network is running in excess of 96%. If we move to page 10, this is tracking the cost, our gross amount that comes in that's eligible. Then we pull out the provider discount, coming up with the allowable amount, and then we split between the patient share and what the plan is paying. And 72% of our costs are paid by the plan, 15% are paid by the employees or members. So that's a good split right there.
Is that pretty much common for what you see, Mr. Worthy? 15%, I mean, usually, you know, I know that in some of the other entities that I've looked at, sometimes they're upwards of 25% on patient share amount.
Oh, yeah, and what this is telling us is that we've got a good program for our employees where they're sharing less of the cost. Your 25% would be on the high side. It means that the employees are sharing in 25% of the cost. Here, they're sharing in just 15% of the cost. So we've got low out-of-pockets.
For the employees.
Yeah, for the employee. If I go to page 11, this is tracking the rebates, prescription drug rebates that we're receiving. And TAC was able to negotiate with Caremark, the provider, and able to increase the rebate amount coming back to the county. So when we compare the rebate we've received this year, 8 months into the year, it's $67,000 compared to what we received the prior year of $31,000. So it doubled. So that is a format that I go through in preparing the reports for each of these years. And then if I could direct you to the handout that was provided to us, is kind of, this is a handout that was just given. This pulls it all together for the 57-month period. Tracking the...
Ken, just a question. Why don't you have a fund balance number for '09 and prior?
For which year?
Well, '09 and prior, '08, '07?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Judge. That's very good. All right. My baseline, I don't know what your beginning fund balance was.
When you took over. Well, wasn't, maybe Martha can step in, wasn't it at a deficit?
Yes.
Back when we were like 1.8 million?
Yes.
That number rings a bell.
Yeah, no.
That was in '07, at the, when I came on board.
For the year ending August 31, 2007.
Right.
We developed a negative balance, fund balance for that year of $1,129,000.
Right.
Okay. Now, I don't know what your books were showing for the fund balance, but I do know for that plan year, it was a loss of $1,129,000.
Yeah, do you remember, anybody? I want to, for some reason, 1.8 million rings a bell for some reason. I don't know if that was prior to '07, and then it started whittling it down.
Okay.
Do you remember, Marta?
I believe that in '07, it had a deficit, like you addressed, to 1.1 million, and the following year, it stabilized, it was at zero, and then it
And we started to build up.
And then it started to build.
Okay.
Thank you. So then, that first year, we were with TAC Blue Cross, and I'm on the line, plan year, then I go to cumulative, where I'm putting the numbers together, and then I've got another line here where I'm showing how much the TAC Blue Cross program has contributed in fund balance buildup. So the second year, it's $2,075,000. We start the program with TAC Blue Cross, and then we have to overcome the deficit of $1,129,000, which leaves us with a cumulative of $945,000. And then the second year with TAC Blue Cross, we develop a fund balance for that year of $1,399,000, and then the cumulative, because we had to offset the deficit, is $2,345,000. And then as we move to our third year under the TAC Blue Cross, our plan year gain is $682,000, and so the cumulative now has grown to $3,028,000. And then moving to the 8 months we're in right now, we've had a gain of $469,825, and the cumulative would be $3,497,000.
Right.
I asked to have the fund balance as your books were showing, and I was told that as of September 30th, 2010, your fund balance was $3,974,000. And so you've got some accruals in there that I'm not picking up, because this is just cash.
Let me ask a question. What is the county's contribution today towards employees? Okay, how much do we transfer per year?
4,800, right?
No.
We only transfer filled positions. We don't, if there's a vacancy.
Correct.
Those funds stay within the individual funds. So are you asking annually what the total amount is?
Well, yeah, because
or-
look, we're going to be, I think what we did a couple of years ago, I don't remember if it was last year before, we actually reduced the amount that we were transferring from general fund into the fund to help, because we had a healthy fund balance to help the, balance the general fund. So I'm just wondering if, well, let me go back. What is it that an employee pays right now for health insurance for them only?
Zero.
Okay. And how much are you transferring for that employee per year? Is it $4,800?
$4,800.
Okay. What is our and for family coverage, how much?
200? It's in the chart.
Yeah, it should be there.
Yeah, but it's too complicated.
Look at the chart.
Yeah, it's too complicated for me to look at.
The contribution for employee and family is, the employee would pay $500. Yeah, the contribution's $600, so the employee is paying $200, 400 minus.
Okay, $200 a month.
That's right.
So $2,400 annually.
Yeah, for family coverage.
Correct.
Correct? Okay, so the employees get nothing. How much, and have you looked at the number? Did we ever come up with a target date, a target amount in terms of what we anticipate having in the fund balance? Like, how many, can we have 6 months worth of
Trillions.
whatever, or a year, whatever it is?
My strong recommendation, Judge, and you've asked this each time I've come before you, and I've not come back with a firm.
Well, and I tell you, the reason for it is because sometimes we tend to forget, without looking historically, where we were back in '06 and part of '07 in terms of, over $1 million deficit. Now we're looking at a $4 million surplus. So in 5 years, we've made a $5 million turnaround.
My recommendation, and I feel this would be solid, would be 25%, 3 months worth of expenses. So
Okay, and what is that number in relation to the fund balance that we have?
it would be $2 million.
That's what we would need to have.
Yes, that's my
So
opinion.
we have enough, instead of transferring, I'm just throwing this out there, but because it may be a number that we can work with when we start to adjust the budget, about instead of transferring $4,800, well, what does that equal in terms of an annual amount? Have you had 4,800 times what? Times 12? I mean, 4,800 times the number of employees that are covered. What does that what is that annually?
Ballparking, well, let's see, right now for 8 months, it's 5 million.
Well, 1,600 and what employees?
Well, not all of them have it, I don't think.
Yes.
It's like 7968, 7,968,000, $8 million.
$8 million? No, that seems a little high.
That's what it is.
We transfer $8 million from the general fund? No, I didn't.
All funds.
Okay, well, let's just talk about general fund. That's
How many
the,
employees do we have in the general fund?
look, what I'm trying to determine, what I'm trying to, because I want to ask you to do this in the next couple of weeks. I want you to give the court a scenario in terms of it. Right now, we're transferring $4,800 per employee per year. That's going to be X in the general fund. What is it going to do to us if we transfer 4,000 or 3,500 or 4,200 in terms of helping us balance the budget? Because if we've got, right now, if Ken's number is right, we've got double in the fund balance that what we really could ordinarily need. I'm just trying to find a way to give us an opportunity to, instead of, we talked about revenue sources and cutting. Because, look, we got to find $3.5 million to balance this budget. And it's going to take a little bit from a lot of places. If we can somehow come up with $500,000, that's, now we're 2.4, 2.5 that we're short. And I'm not suggesting that right now. I want to see the number. And whatever we're doing now, I want to see in the next week or so what impact it would have on us on the general fund if we reduce that contribution from 4,800 to 4,400, give us maybe 3 or 4 scenarios so we can, so we can decide as we're balancing the budget.
Okay.
Javier, what's been the increase in salary cost over the last 5 years to the county? More or less.
Yeah, I couldn't, off the top of my head, I couldn't answer that. I know, because within the past couple of years, while there's been no salary increases, there have been positions that have been added to the jail.
Well, there have been salary increases. I saw them in what you sent me.
Right. There are some, but salary increases that the Commissioners Court approved across the board haven't been given in the past 2 years.
No.
Prior to that, there were some. Off the top of my head, I really couldn't answer that.
Okay. I played with the Excel, and I don't know if I did it right, but when I did it, it was like $5.5 million. Does that seem right?
Probably, because prior to that, there was 2 years where there was $1,000 across the board that was given to all county employees. That cost, a ballpark, it was around $1.4 million just to the general fund. So for 2 years, that was about 2.8. And you extrapolate that out to the other funds, say the bridges, the road and bridge and all of that, and it's
So
pretty close.
$5.5 million might be correct?
Yeah.
That's what we've increased in salary cost in the last 5 years.
Right, but that also includes new positions.
Right, okay.
But I'll get those numbers for you.
Thank you.
That would be the highlights of my report, and we've gone through the handout. I could point out on the handout that the county's contribution in 2006, 2007 was $4,800 a year. And then, because you had the deficit, you moved it up to $5,200 a year. And then you backed it down to $5,000, 2008, 2009. And then it was $4,900 last year. And then we're back to where we were in 2006, 2007 at $4,800. And it's worked well for you.
So what's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be, if it ain't broke,
Don't fix it.
fix it. It's running really good. In this area of the state, Blue Cross Blue Shield has such high penetration with the physicians and the doctors, and the payment practices of Blue Cross allow them to have these favorable contracts. And
Can you project out and maybe get with Javier as well?
Sure.
Do a cash flow projection.
All right.
Based on the information we have today, and couple it with a $200, $300, $400, maybe $200, $300, and $500 reduction in the monthly, and project the fund balance for the next 12 months and then the next 24 months, based on what we have on the information that we know now. Because now we have some pretty good historical data that you can project out forward 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Okay?
And I feel we should put something in there for some inflation factor,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go, we have all this, I don't want to squander the fund balance. I think we're doing well, I agree.
Yes.
But at some point, you know, it becomes an overkill. You've got so much, you'll never use it up.
Yeah.
Let's use it, pass it on, so we don't have, that saves us, $500,000 saves us almost half a penny on the tax rate.
Yeah.
Mr. Wethy,
Did I hear correct, Judge?
in that,
Well, what?
correct.
Use some of it?
The balance of budget?
Okay. All right, just making sure.
On page 4,
Yes, sir.
right now, our stop loss is at $200,000 per claim, right?
That is correct.
Maybe since we're seeing this trend of, not going over much, maybe we ought to consider the cost of the $100,000 per loss, stop loss
Want that?
insurance.
There's a.
I know there's a cost.
I'll certainly bring that back to you, but my recommendation is, with the fund balance like you have, and even if it's at $2 million, you can take more risk, and why shift it to the insurance company on fixed cost and retain it in your fund balance?
Well, but at the same time, with the historical data that you have, when you go sell this type of claim, stop loss to an insurance, they can see that, the risk for us was fairly minimal in regard to large claim.
To give us a better rate?
To get a better rate, because that's how you negotiate those rates.
Well,
And it gives us less exposure.
it gives you less exposure.
Right.
But I'll certainly bring that back to you, but I can tell you that the industry loads on the lower deductibles, and the trend on self-funded plans is to move up your deductible.
Can you do a comparison of what you would project if we were to do both?
Yes, I sure will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, because we're just buying money if we need it.
Yeah. Right. No, fair question, and I'll be pleased to do that.
Any other comments? Anything else, Ken? Okay. Move to acknowledge by
Second.
Commissioner Garza.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let's go back to,
You gonna do K?
no, let's go back to Ms. Benavides, because she's been waiting here patiently, and I'm sure she's got better things to do than some of
Judge,
her-
just
What?
on these issues, on these agenda items right here, if you can take action on K regarding the health benefit services.
Okay.
J would be to acknowledge, and K would be.
All right, let me hear a motion. That's a quickie. Discussion and possible action to renew employee group. Moved by Commissioner
Second.
Gatsa, second by Commissioner Sanchez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let's go back
And
to
item L,
table.
table.
Table L?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Move to table item L by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let's go back to item X, 3X,
3X.
having to do with the opening the bank account. Legal, what'd you find?
Well, I think she has a good point, as it turns out. 61.03, as we discussed earlier, speaks to the use of these funds in a manner authorized by the Commissioner's Court. What you have here really is kind of a hybrid situation. You have a state agency for liability purposes that's under the direction of the Department of Family Protective Services that works with the Commissioner's Court to see to it that these kids get taken care of. The way the statutes are set up, the county could be contributing money to this, the Child Welfare Board, and because of that, not because we are, but because it could be, it makes sense that we are involved in the, administration, at least loosely, in terms of how this money is used in terms of our authority, or according to a manner we authorize. The manner we authorize is kind of a term of art. I think for the time being, what we need to do is further research and see what other counties and what perhaps this Department of Family Protective Services recommends in terms of some protocols or some methodology for spending or authorizing the expenditure of this money. But for her purposes, for the moment, I think all you really need to do, and this would clear the air, at least for the moment, and get some money into the hands of these people to go help these kids, is to just have a motion to instruct the treasurer to turn over however much money there is in the treasury to the welfare board. And then, and as I understand it, you're needing it for school supplies. Isn't that what you wanted it for?
Yes.
And then, so your motion is to
Designate it.
to designate it for school supplies for the moment until we know more about what is meant by manner authorized by the court. Keep your receipts, because we're, after all, talking about governmental money here, or money that's charged, or the government's charged with handling. So keep your receipts in case somebody wants to know what you did with it. You can prove it, and that way they can go ahead and open an account, okay? That much I think we can, authorize as well. You can open an account, have Mr. Betancourt, our treasurer, cut a check, and go about your business and get some school supplies in these kids' hands.
Question. Not all the checks are from specifically, I guess, the jurors, or would come from his office.
Well,
Should
we
open
discussed.
a separate bank account? In the South Texas region, there's 19 counties, 12 have welfare boards, so it should be easy to get comparisons of what they're doing. For purposes of the next 10 days, it would be very helpful to get that money. Or
To
be
get
able
what
to
money?
Access that money.
Whatever we have.
Whatever we have there.
Whatever the treasurer is
treasurer
holding.
has.
Okay.
But the treasurer, I think, according to the statute, can only take the jury donations, not other money.
That's right. And if I understood what the young lady just said, you have money that's donated from other people as well. Well, see, and I think that's fine and dandy and, a wonderful thing to be commended, but the way this appears to be administratively run, the Commissioner's Court is the one to authorize the manner with which these funds are expended. It may be that there's a loose scheme of some kind, like a budget, that says, okay, during this part of the time, you need school supplies. During this part of the time, you need flu shots. This part of the time, you need clothes or whatever. And it may be that we find that there's some broad outlines within which you would have some discretion, and yet it be a manner authorized by the Commissioner's Court.
Okay,
But until we learn that for sure, the money that you are dealing with, whether it comes from the treasurer or otherwise, you need to account for in terms of keeping your receipts. That way, until we get our fingers on this, on this a little better, and we know better exactly what the law is requiring of us, you can answer any questions.
Thank you. Can we expect a time frame for this?
Well, we could do a motion here in the next 30 seconds in a second and have the approval from the Commissioners Court.
For that one item,
Yeah.
September the 11th, we're also participating in the Zoo Day where 700 children come to the foster
Yeah.
family day at the zoo. I mean, it's a constant. So for every, I guess what I'm asking is how fast after this one item, because that's what we're here for.
I imagine the treasurer can cut a check later today or in the morning once the court authorizes the transfer.
For school supplies, because that's the manner that they're authorized.
Well, yes, ma'am.
But for example, what's coming up in 3 weeks from now, how do we?
Does she need to
Do I
bring
need
it
to
before
come
this
back?
court?
Do I need to bring it before the court?
I see
How
what
would
you
I do-
mean.
how
For
would
the
I go
next
about-
one?
Yes.
Okay.
In 3 weeks, or in
All I can tell you is we'll research it, do our best to get it researched right away and find out what has to be done. And then we can put it on the next agenda. I understand we're going to be meeting weekly, so next week we can discuss it and hopefully have a plan in place to satisfy the statutory requirement regarding, the manner authorized by the Commissioners Court, give you the flexibility, to take advantage of good deals if that's what the law permits, okay? But as far as the immediate need, with a motion second and approval, the treasurer can cut you a check for what's in that balance over there now. Do you have an account open yet or not?
That's what we're here
You-
for.
Okay, you need to open that account.
I think there's some confusion
Right,
here on my
clear it
part.
up.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can clarify this. The agenda item is authorizing the county treasurer to open up an account under the name of Cameron County Welfare Board, okay? I'm assuming that the treasurer, well, let me not assume that. Who is going to be signing on this account?
Board members.
Only board members,
Yes,
okay.
they will have access to deposit the checks.
Okay.
So that they're not collecting checks for 4 months.
Okay, well,
without
there's
bank account.
a couple of things. The treasurer is going to open up this bank account. Now, there's money sitting somewhere that belongs to the Cameron County Welfare Board, correct?
In forms of checks.
And the-
That's it.
Well, whatever it is. I mean, are they sitting in somebody's
No.
drawer?
Yeah.
The one other check that we have that's separate is actually just together with the rest of the checks
Okay.
in his office help.
So right now, there is no money deposited in
Anywhere.
the county books anywhere?
No.
Okay, so someone has got these checks sitting somewhere that need to be deposited
Deposited.
into this account?
Yes.
Is that
into
correct?
A account, which would be
This
this
account?
one,
Okay.
yes.
Well, I just want to follow you because I don't want to get confused. Okay, and the only thing that the treasurer's going to do is open up this account. He's not going to be responsible for reconciling any of the accounts? Nothing like that?
All that falls
On you all?
Yes.
Okay. So somebody on that board is going to be signing checks that come along?
Yes.
Now, for money that is collected through the district clerk or wherever that gets collected from the jury fund, that's going to be deposited into
That
a cap? Well, I don't know, is it going to go directly to that account, or does it come to the treasurer's office and then he sends monies out? And because I mean, I believe that the money comes into some general pool, and then from there, money is dispersed to the different agencies that get credit for it. So from there, he'll be making, I'm assuming, David, you'll be making a monthly or whatever transfer into that bank account. Okay. So once you write these checks, it's going to be your I'm not saying you, the Child Welfare Board's responsibility to make sure that you follow, or that they follow their bylaws in terms of procurement or purchasing or whatever. Is that the way you all understand it?
No.
No.
That's not the way I see it either, Judge. The statute here says deposit donations made to the County Child Welfare Board under subsection A2, which is this jury thing we're talking about,
Right.
in a fund established by the county to be used by the Child
Okay, well,
Welfare Board.
That's what
in
this
a-
agenda item is. We're establishing a bank account for this purpose.
Well, no, I think we're talking about two different things.
But only jury donations.
That's all I'm
period.
talking about right now in terms of jury donations. That's all I'm
You
talking about.
can't put any other money in there.
Well,
No, but we
She
have-
has other checks.
guys, hold on. That's why I'm trying to clarify, because if the Cameron County Welfare Board is responsible for this bank account, I don't see why they should be precluded from depositing donations from third parties.
Exactly.
Why, what's the problem? I mean, if it's their bank account, the only thing that I think we're responsible, that the treasurer, Mr. Bedcore would be responsible for, is $100, whatever comes in through the jury pool, that gets transferred timely to your bank account. Okay? But there's nothing to preclude you, I don't think, from depositing. Somebody, you give a donation of $50, or we all do whatever, here it is. Where's it gonna go if not to this bank account?
Well, but I think we're looking at it wrong, because if you look at C2, it says deposit donations made to the County Child Welfare Board under subsection A2 in a fund established by the county to be used by the Child Welfare Board in a manner authorized by the Commissioners Court of the county.
No, I think we're okay with that. All I'm saying is okay, I'm okay with that, that's fine. But there's nothing in there.
Well, read number 3. Send all donations made under that subsection directly to the program specified on the form letter signed by the person who reported for jury duty.
Commissioner, that's A3 and 4. That's two different
Guys, look,
subsections.
don't make this more complicated than what it is. Any money collected through the jury pool, the jury system, goes to her through David.
Right.
He collects it, he disperses like he does to United Way, everybody else, okay? But there's nothing to preclude the Child Welfare Board from having a fundraiser, from asking donations, going into that checking account. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I agree with that, Judge, if that's what your question is.
I think that's what.
That should not be a problem. I don't see why.
I think, the way I read it, and I'm not a lawyer, but the way I read this subsection and how we can develop an account is only for jury duty donations.
I don't think.
Read the section.
Well, but it doesn't,
It references only
That's correct.
direct jury duty
Okay.
donations.
But it also doesn't speak to an account, it says a fund. We have fund line items in the depository bank that identify places where money is accounted for, and now what she's done is she's come and asked for permission to open up an account into which that fund money can be transferred together with other money that comes in for her use under law in a manner authorized by the Commissioners Court. So all we're talking about doing, if I understand this correctly, is authorizing David to transfer that jury money that's coming into that fund into the account that they open, which they can also use to deposit private donations and whatnot, but they must use it in a manner authorized by the Commissioners Court. And all I'm saying about that is we need to learn a little more. No one has evidently ever researched what it is we have to do in order to show them what manner we're talking about.
May I say something to simplify, maybe help? Look, the way I understand it is we're gonna open an account, and just like we do with all our accounts, it's signed by the checks are signed by the treasurer and the auditor and the clerk, the county clerk. And so we're gonna then transfer that to the Child Welfare Board, and if they have an account, well, they should open an account, they can put the money in their account so they can write checks and spend money in the manner which you all authorize, which is for the children that are in need in Cameron County or something like that. That's the way I understand it. So they can write their own checks, because if they have to come and wait for us to that's why.
But why can't we on a monthly basis just give them whatever money comes in?
That's what I'm saying.
And not even open it?
That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
If you look at the statute.
Right now, they don't have a separate account.
See,
What happened is,
all money that's there that would be to pay the jurors, that's county money. We have that, okay? It's in your possession. When it comes time to either donate that money or pay the juror, you either have to cut a check to the juror who wants his money or her money for serving, or if they donated it, you send it to wherever it's going to go. All this statute does is it gives you the authority to send that money where it was donated. Now, the section on this Child Welfare Board says that when you have all the donations for the Child Welfare Board, you're supposed to take those and put them into their account. But I don't think you should have any check writing ability out of that account. You don't have to do any reconciling or anything else. All you do is give them their money because it's been donated to them.
In a separate account.
You know, on a total reverse point of looking at it, what happens if we have an account out there that is opened by Cameron County under our treasurer's auspices, and say they decide to overdraft the account 10 grand? Who's responsible?
They are.
No, it's under our.
Isn't the bank going to go to our fund balance?
No.
In order for them to write checks, they have to establish their own account. Every month, I'm gonna send the money that the problem right now is this, that the other account that they had was closed because the board member that would sign on it is no longer a member, and there's nobody that can sign on that account right now.
And did that person have their tax ID on that account?
I don't know, that's not my business.
Well, no, but it's, did you have it in your office?
No, sir. Okay, that was done differently now. So now they don't have an account, and then you're gonna open an account for these jury funds to go into, and then for me to transfer to their account so they can write checks, so they can see their bank statements, so that they don't have to come to Commissioner's Court.
Let me ask you.
Every 2 weeks to ask to spend that money.
Can you wait till Wednesday on this, next Wednesday? Because I think we have a meeting Wednesday, and that'll give legal a chance to really research it and figure it out. Would you be all right if we wait till next Wednesday? What do you think, Bruce?
I thought that there was a matter of urgency because she was trying to get money into the hands of these kids.
That's why I asked if she could wait till Wednesday. If not, then...
Look, I think what you can do right now is allow me to establish an account with the same signatures that we do, and then she can go to the bank and try to set something up, and so as soon as Wednesday's meeting, right after that, she can just go and put her signature cards on her board.
Here's the problem as I see it. If you go and you have this account that should be a clearing account, money goes in, the other option is to set up another bank account separate from this one, where this one is just money that goes in from the jury pool. You write 1 or 2 checks transferring that amount of money to this other bank account. The problem with that other bank account, it's going to require not only a name, but an ID number. When you open up this bank account, it's going to have the Cameron County's ID number in it. And the problem that you have is because you do not have a 501c3, you're not a legal entity. So what happened with the prior director, she was probably using her social security number as the ID number. And maybe that's what you all may want to do in the interim, use someone's social security number until you get your 501c3. That is, I think, worst case scenario. I still don't see a problem in doing what you're doing, setting up this bank account, allowing you to deposit donations. I don't see anything in that statute that I read earlier that prohibits you from doing it. It just says jury money goes into this pool. It doesn't say only. It doesn't say anything else. So I don't understand what the apprehension is at this point. Now let's assume that you overdraw the account. I don't believe Cameron County is responsible if you overdraw the account. If you overdraw the account, that's the bank's problem. They shouldn't be overdrawing that account to begin with. But I don't see that they're going to draw on our other accounts.
But why do you need an account when we can just approve a disbursement and give them a check?
Well, because they're going to get. Let me ask you, how much money is in this account right now that we're talking about?
A little bit over $900.
Okay, you give her a check for $900. So in order, she's got one check.
She can
so
keep
that
the
means
receipts.
someone is going to go and cash a check and walk around with $900 in their purse or wallet while they go to all these little supplies and get a little envelope and do it like the old days. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you know, that does not make any sense. And that may cure it right now, but that's not a good long-term plan.
How are we going to give her the ability to write checks then?
Because when you transfer the money that David's going to open up, they will be the signatories on this checking account.
So we're going to make her a signator.
It's not a county account.
So why, how is David a signator then if it's
He's
not a county?
I never said he was.
So who's going to sign?
The board members would be, just like Melba was doing or whoever was doing it before. This account,
Then you're asking me only to open it, not be a signer?
Right.
You're saying, okay.
Right.
I mean,
You gonna do that?
no, all he's doing,
I'm not
look.
gonna be a signer
No, you don't want to be a signer.
Right.
All you want to do is open up the account because it is a quasi-state stuff with our input. You open up the account, that's what you got to do. At that
Tony
point.
should have got this
and the-
statute fixed,
And the only
too.
thing that you do at that, every month, is you transfer money to that account. The responsibility of that account is Ms. Benavides or whomever else they designate. I would suggest you have two signatures, obviously, but you're out of it. That's why I said he's not going to reconcile the bank account. That's y'all's deal. I just don't see what the problem is. I mean, I think we're making way too much of this. Way too much.
I hope you're right.
Judge, I thought
Absolutely right.
that what I was saying a minute ago was as streamlined a way to get this done as we can do, because David knows right now how much money is in that fund. That's a line item fund of some kind in our county depository bank, is it not?
Yeah, are you going to get,
Say again?
It's still in the jury fund.
Okay, so, but my point being is this money that the jury authorized for child welfare is identified among the papers in our depository bank, is it not?
It's an account payable, right? We got to pay it out.
No, we're not signing the.
Don't we have to send it out because it's been designated as a gift?
That is under the district clerk.
But right here it says, "A county treasurer, designated county employee shall collect each form letter directing the county treasurer to donate the reimbursement of a person who," and it gets cut off.
But it says or designate, yeah, well, that says or designate. Right now, we're allowing the district clerk to collect that money because they're dealing every day with those forms. She has her staff there. Well, you know, my staff is in my office in this building. She has her staff there working with the jury and the jury, collecting all the forms for all donations, okay?
Right, but that money that's there, that's county money that you have to do something with.
Right,
You've
but-
got to pay it out
Right.
to whoever they
but it's-
donated it to.
But the jury fund is established differently. It's under the clerk's.
David, let me ask this question. Are you holding a check or are you holding money on a line item in the depository bank?
Okay, I'm holding checks right now.
Okay, that makes a big difference.
Because those are private checks for private people,
Because
right?
the account, the previous account was closed. And so now, all of a sudden, the statute, I believe Dilbia brought me the statute. It says that the county treasurer establishes the account. And I think all I do is really, either I establish it for them and they take over.
Right.
Okay? Or I open an account and as a clearing account to give to them to put into their.
Their account.
And I think to a certain extent, you know, there's, I think the Emergency Service District also has, we establish their account, but we have no, any authority on that account anymore. They report to their board and that's it. And
Do you
that's
sign
all
on
we're
that
gonna do.
account?
No, I don't. I only opened it.
This is the same thing then.
Right, I only opened it
it's the
and
same
that's
thing.
it.
Okay.
Look, I think, no, and I, you know, look, this,
Because if you approve it like this and then.
David, why don't we do this? If the court agrees to doing this. You go down tomorrow, open up let's say, we're going to vote on this, hopefully it'll pass. And you're going to go down and open up the bank account. You're going to get some temporary checks, okay? In the interim, you're going to use our county ID number until they get their 501c3. And we need to come up with a deadline. You've got to have it within 6 months or 9, whatever it is, okay? And do that. That way they can go on. They're going to give you some temporary checks. On that, agree that you need to have documentation, backup for everything that you know, to account for everything, okay? $900, no, I mean, how much total do you have?
$900.
In checks or in the jury pool?
No, in checks.
Okay, do you have anything due to them from the jury?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so you're gonna deposit these checks, and then you get down there. David is pretty much, out of it in terms of what administratively what he needs to do. And we just go, I mean, it's not that big a deal, guys. And then and then you just try to, as you get money that goes in, I didn't see, and I was reading this right now, I don't see anything here that prohibits you from depositing, contributions. What this addresses, how do you treat the monies that you collect from the jurors? That's what this addresses. It doesn't talk anything about anything else. So I would entertain a motion to allow David to open up the bank account, making whomever you all designate as your signers, get dual signatures if you can, keep documentation, have legal continue reviewing this to make sure nothing's going to happen in a week. And our right now our risk is $900. That doesn't even belong to the county. It really belongs to to jurors that donated it. Okay, and then I encourage you, as we have, to continue working on this 501c3, get that done, and hopefully within the next 6 to 9 months we'll take care of this. I'd like to get a motion to do this.
Let me make one little recommendation here, Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
Can he be instructed to open an account without overdraft privileges?
However he wants to do it. I mean, of course.
Is that all right? That would provide us some protection.
So are you trying to tell me that other accounts have overdraft privileges?
Well, it's been done. We have an agreement with the bank here and there about overdrafts. What I'm saying is on this particular account, since David is not going to be auditing it or reconciling it, and it's going to be in the hands, by and large, of the welfare board, there's no reason for them to be overdraft privileges on county funds.
Okay.
I so move, Judge.
Okay, I've got a move by Commissioner Benavides. I got one more comment. A second by Commissioner Hernandez. Discussion. One more thing, David, if you can. When you go down tomorrow, make it very clear with the bank that these are not county funds, nor is it a county account. Take them something in writing.
It is a county account.
No, it's their account. It's just flowing through. He is, because he has to, but he's opening it on their behalf. But once he opens it, he's got no responsibility on that account. Have a letter, maybe get with Bruce before you go about making sure the bank signs it, acknowledging that this is not our account in terms of, let's say you overdraw by 100, they're not going to draw on another account to cover it. This is an autonomous account, independent of other county accounts. Can you do that, Bruce? Can you write something up?
I'll be happy to, Judge.
Yeah, just write something up.
I'll be happy to help him do whatever we need to do.
Get with David and have something by tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then go down to the bank and do this.
The contract we have with the bank in regards to the legalities of bank accounts.
This does not fall under I don't believe that this account would fall under a depository contract.
Well, that's part of the thing I was trying to solve by going ahead and setting up another account. I kind of like David is talking about doing, but I was not aware. I thought the young lady said earlier that she had her 401c3 or 501c3.
They do not.
But now I learned that they have not got that set up.
No,
the best I think we can do for the moment is what we just made the motion for.
Look,
okay?
We've spent way too much time on this, and this is something that, Dan.
It's all his fault.
Yeah, Dan, look, just do that.
Well, we can either do things right or just how we guess.
Well, but this is right. I don't think it's wrong, and if it's wrong, then it's wrong. That's how we learn, but I don't think that this is wrong doing it this way.
Yeah, see, I didn't realize.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If you have any questions, call. Okay? Call legal. No, you guys can question all night long. But let's do that. Let's fix it. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
I will abstain. I totally support all the activities that the board does and support them 100%. But I definitely don't want to impede any of the work that you all are doing. But I will express a concern with having a bank account open under the county's name that our treasurer does not have control over. Just
Okay.
whether it's right or wrong, I don't care, Judge, but that's my opinion.
All right.
And I
Well,
vote
tell you what,
nay.
In the interim, yeah, please note Commissioner Sanchez's insensibility to the children of Cameron County. I'm just kidding. I know.
I'd be happy to donate to your cause, but because I don't believe legally we should do this, I'm voting nay. That's just my personal vote.
We're going with what the other counties do, so
Right.
if there's another solution, we're willing.
Look,
to
for
work
now,
with it.
we're
Thank
done.
you very much.
Do it.
Thank you.
And if anything changes, get back with legal. Legal, follow up and make sure that we're okay with this. And if it's wrong, bring it back at the next meeting and let us know so we can fix it. All right. Okay. We spent an hour on $900, but 10 minutes on millions. Okay.
The citizens deserve it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go back to
2B.
to be or not to be.
To be, do be.
Anything else? We got everything on the consent. Anybody, did you have another one that we had to do out of order before?
2B.
Okay, let's go to 2B, Cameron County Park System Erosion Response Plan.
Judge, Commissioners, I have a few members from our Dune Protection Committee here. We lost one.
Lost what?
We have our chairman, Doyle Wells, our vice chairman, Eliseo Munoz, and our other member, Herb Houston. What I'm going to present this evening or this afternoon is our erosion response plan. Texas General Land Office mandated that we, not necessarily mandated, but they made or encouraged local governments to adopt or create an erosion response plan. And the reason they did that was to reduce the public expenditures due to erosion and storm damages. And on this, let me get this. In August 2010, Land Commissioner, I guess through the legislation, passed House Bill 2073, which amended the Natural Resource Code and created the Texas Administrative Code 1517, which created the guidelines for local governments to create their erosion response plan. And again, this erosion response plan through the GLO, it's just it's not a mandate. They encourage the local governments to create these erosion response plan in order to be eligible for KEPRA funding. So what the Dune Protection Committee, together with staff, they worked on a plan based on the guidelines that were given to us from TAC 1517. And these are just recommendations from the rules. Number one, of course, was to include or implement a building setback line. A lot of communities are implementing a setback line. Our Dune Protection Committee thought they wanted to I guess, approach it in a proactive way, and instead of implementing a setback line, they wanted to create a conservation zone. Oh, by the way, I handed out a copy of this presentation to y'all, and also a copy of the plan as well. I also emailed it to everyone earlier in the week. And again, this plan was to, there's several elements of this plan. One is to reduce the public expenditures. One is to enhance public access. And that's what we've implemented in our plan. Bill, you got and I'm going to defer off and on to Doyle in case he has anything to add to each slide.
Simply put, this plan is required by the General Land Office, State of Texas, and it's not just the county, but it's all government entities up and down the coast. They do require that this plan be put in place, and the fish hook is the KEPRA funding. If you don't comply accordingly, the KEPRA funding could and may be withheld. What we've done is worked several months on this, and we're bringing it to you now for your review, your consideration. We spoke to some of you individually when we could to let you know our purpose and our intent. We've taken a proactive approach to this and viewed erosion as an ongoing problem that can be left unchecked by not building within a certain area of the coast, thereby denying the potential for development and ultimately ad valorem taxes for the county and public benefit. We've come in a three-point process and have essentially said, this build a dune protection line, a dune protection dune, erosion protection dune on the front line. Let's take and increase public access, and this enhance public safety. What we're presenting to you is the nuts and the bolts, the language for the plan, but essentially when you boil it down to it, we're taking and recommending that the county undertake creating a frontal dune system, protecting the landowners and the property, increasing beach access from the area north of the city of South Padre Island, from beach access 4, 5, and 6, increasing that number to the end of the road to 15, whereby folks have more access to the beach. Ultimately, we're going to recommend that the commission consider converting that area to the inner road to be a pedestrian beach, and all vehicular traffic will still transfer to the north through the new access that will be created at the inner road at Track 40.
Are we, in the spirit of, property rights, not infringing on any of the owners as far as property rights and ability to utilize their property with this plan?
More so than what was presented to as a suggestion by the General Land Office. The general suggestion was your number one bullet there is a building setback line. Some other entities have imposed.
Which would be considered a taking by some folks.
That was an approach or a consensus that this commission took in 2006 when we amended the county beach dune protection plan and withdrew our building setback line at that time. There was essentially a 440-foot building setback line. The concern at that point is exactly that it could be construed as a takings.
Right. But this addresses that in a manner in which we are not going to be there in the same shape and form as then.
Yes, to the limit that we're looking at a win-win. We're proposing that this erosion protection dune be built along what is generally considered a public beach easement of about 200 feet from mean low tide. That's on the area that the folks are not able to build in now. We will have to have an agreement with the landowners if there's an easement in that area for the conservation zone, which is proposed to be 75 feet, to let that dune grow, that there would be some consideration. The dune protection plan today states that folks can build up to the line of vegetation with the provisions that they can't build retaining walls, they can't build swimming pools, they can't do anything to build a house, they can't even have a road to it. You folks have waded through that issue with us recently. Doesn't make sense. So we're amending both plans at this point, the dune protection plan and erosion protection plan. To specifically answer your question, Commissioner, yes, this takes great consideration in that fact of property rights. At the same time, protecting the public beach, increasing public access, and public safety. I'd like, if you would, go ahead and flip to page number 5 and show them. I think a picture is worth 1,000 words in the respect that this was what we're going to show you. One more page. We're going to show you an example of what was done up the coast where they created a frontal dune in front of the property, came back and seeded that and sprigged it with vegetation instead of grow significantly. The only thing to hold South Padre Island in place is grass. seals, sea vines. Vegetation is what holds that island in place. So by encouraging that as erosion protection, we're accomplishing what we want as opposed to saying do nothing, let Mother Nature be destroyed by destroying the vegetation, don't help her, and simply do a building setback line, therefore denying, as you pointed out, Commissioner, a potential takings issue. We want to be a win-win situation for the county, the visitors of South Padre Island, and the landowners.
And you're building a built-in need for native plant vegetation?
Yes,
so that
we
the
are.
Native Plant Center can,
Yes,
you
we
know.
are. And there are, besides the gentleman that are here before us, there are other folks up and down the coast that do that. There's a native plant source locally on the island by harvesting. One significant thing that we're proposing in this plan, not only that little frontal erosion protection dune, but encouragement for landowners to raise their property through natural accretion or sand accumulation, planted vegetation, to where you're raising the entire island up to meet FEMA baseline flood elevation of essentially 10 to 12 feet, whereby you have a stronger, more fortified island as opposed to just little sporadic dunes and sporadic vegetation. The vision is to create a solid mass of vegetation all the way across the island in a higher elevation to accommodate building.
very good.
We simply wanted to bring it to you now and to understand we do have some deadlines by September. We have to have certain things in place. The General Land Office has our draft that you're looking at now. Is simply a draft. We're asking your input now to tell us if we're on the right track or we're all wet. That's what we're asking here today. We're not predicting anything for you to take and bless, but if you see anything that we can do better, just tell us, and we're here at your disposal.
Any questions? Comments?
I wanted to ask something. It says here that the county recognizes that vehicular activity is detrimental to vegetation. So in order to avoid the vehicular traffic presently on the north end of the island, what are you proposing?
Specifically, we're proposing improved access for the visitors of South Padre Island through pedestrian accesses. We're proposing that there'll be 15 of them where there are 3 now. We're going to recommend that those accesses be improved for the general public for safety reasons. And I, out there in the island all the time, see how the traffic has been so congested in the south end through the park system and in the city of South Padre Island that folks are naturally seeking an outlet to the beach. So they're parking their car on the side of the road right now and hiking to the beach. We're saying, let's help those folks. We're putting in 12 more beach accesses, platted public accesses. By the way, we've had letters of request from 2 of the largest landowners up there willing to participate in this program, whereby they'll donate the land to provide the parking required by statute to convert that from a vehicular beach to a pedestrian beach. We will not recommend closure of the beach to vehicles. The vehicle access will be at the end of the road, which is track 40, which is there's a platted access there now. It's actually a much better place for vehicles to access in the sense that it's a wider beach going north of there. Right now at access 5 and access 6, that beach is much narrow in between the water and the dune area. To the north of the end of the road, an area we're going to propose to you, it's much wider and it lets folks really spread out and have a much safer place to enjoy the beach, vehicular and pedestrian.
So basically, bottom line, we would be closing beach access 5 and 6 and moving all the traffic to the end of the road where we would probably improve that area for access. That's what you're saying?
That will be a recommendation. Please keep in mind that this plan, this draft that we're presenting to you today also requires a public hearing. It's going to be, we're going to be bringing the input of everybody into play and let them understand that nothing is being done to deny anybody access to the beach to be able to drive up to Port Mansfield or wherever they want. we're recommending that it be done a lot safer and a lot more effectively with this plan amendment.
Have you put numbers to the plan as far as anticipated costs to implement this?
You know, to answer your question, yes, sir, but I wouldn't be prepared to take and recite anything to you today that I could hang my hat on. What we are making suggestions to you with this plan is we're going to be proposing funding sources for this. The consensus is that it should be a cooperative effort between the landowner and the county to develop this. The concern is, the fear is that one landowner may say, fine, I'm happy to do that, and the next landowner says, no, I don't want to spend any money on it. And if you don't have a continuous erosion protection dune, you don't have an effective erosion protection plan. So we're going to recommend several options that are in the draft here today. And I'll be glad, we'll be bringing options to you that will give some numbers specific. And the general consensus is now that when that's done, there should be a district created, for the lack of a better term, a public improvement district or a TERS, that would assess a fee to the littoral owner of the property, and they would be the ones that would take and fund this project. It would not be a general fund for the county expenditure. It needs to come from that district that this commission chooses to create in the future. Or there has been, Javier can speak to it better, there's been some conversation he's had with the General Land Office on some potential funding in the future, and there's some funding come available that we'd like to be on the hunt for from the BP oil spill, to where they're making funds available specifically for restoration projects that we're identifying to you today.
So Javier, as we look ahead, like right now, we have 2 access points, 5 and 6, where we're collecting revenue. Would we be moving that way down to the end of the road?
My thought is that we would, of course, eliminate 5 and 6. Number 5, we would still charge there for parking, and then move number 6 north to track 40 to the end of the road. And that's where people would drive on to the beach.
Are there, right now, I don't know what it took to implement the toll booths and all of that. I imagine you needed electricity and all of that. Is that available at the north end of the road, at the end of the road?
Well, at number 6, what it is it's a mobile unit. We have solar power there, so we can move that.
That wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Number 6 will stay in place. There's quite a bit of acreage that's not being utilized currently that has a potential to be available. But please keep in mind that if the county chooses to convert the vehicular beach to a pedestrian beach, statute requires that for every lineal feet of beach that's converted, 15 lineal feet that's converted, 1 parking space has to be provided within 1/4 of a mile and no greater than 3/4 of a mile from each point. So there's going to be a series of beach accesses staggered all the way up there, as I said, going from 3 currently to 15 or more.
Okay.
So, this could ultimately lead to possibly not needing to have the trash bag program? Because you'd have to carry in instead of, drive in, right?
There still would be a program of some sort, I'm assuming, because the vehicular beach will be still in place.
Further north, yeah.
The district should, along with creating this erosion protection dune and the public park and the beach access, it should also be responsible for maintenance of that, which, the decision, the park department would be bringing you recommendations for how to handle, let's call them pocket parks, those little small beach accesses. So certainly we need trash cans. In our plan, we've also have some money through a grant budgeted for doing some survey work to where each of those existing platted easements that are marked along the illustration, can have designation and signage to tell folks exactly where they are allowed to go and not be going to somebody else's private property.
I want to show a picture of the shores. That's a good example of a dune restoration project. Now, when Shores was developed, they followed, or they fell under the 440-foot building setback line, so their buildings are sitting far back. But the developer has come in and he's I guess built up and attributed to the buildup of those dunes and the vegetation. So you can see on the picture on the left, there's no dunes there. Off to the right, you see the vegetation growing in the dunes. So it's a good example of a dune restoration project.
This is a good example. The date of the picture on the left is 2001, and the date on the picture on the right is 2010. So 9 years with the landowner's efforts of keeping that vegetation growing, actually growing. He's actually not only increased, he's accreted his property. He's increased the public beach area. And what's resulted is a very desirable piece of developable property that certainly brings in significant taxes to the county and the city of South Padre Island. At the same time, affords greater safety for the pedestrians of that beach. As you will recall, this was a vehicular beach a few years ago. And the same process that we outlined here was followed in 1997 is when this was converted to a pedestrian beach.
And I think the tax base went up a little bit too.
Yes.
I mean, it does everything, fortunately. It improves beach quality, it improves protecting the beach, provides, I mean, it's a good combined effort that is a win-win.
Build it and they will come. Protect it and they will come. Exactly right.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to, anything else, Javier?
No, sir.
Doyle? Cool.
We're just seeking input, so anything you can tell us,
All right.
we're doing it right, or you want something different, we're here for you.
All right, thank you. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries. We've done all the consent. Let's go back. Item A, budget amendments, line item transfers under salary schedules.
Judge, Commissioners, you had the budget amendments placed in front of you. The first 3 pages are due to new grants, so those are all budget amendments. Those are grants that start either in August or in September, and those budgets are presented to you for the grant guidelines. The last page on that, the third page of that is you have an increase in the parks. There's a transfer in that's shown for $80,610 that's coming in from general fund. That accounts for insurance proceeds that were received in general fund, and Parks is getting ready to do the repairs, so we are transferring those insurance proceeds to the Parks Department, the Parks Fund. The following page will consist of all the budget neutral line items, transfers rather, and they are for the most part operational. As we continue along with nearing the end of our fiscal year, you'll see that there's a lot of budget amendments that will be coming through that are operational, where we are moving, our departments are requesting to move funds that they don't anticipate using to cover operating expenses that are coming. And I don't know if the court has any particular questions on any of those.
Any questions on the,
I have a question. There's a $17,000 transfer in the tax assessor collector. What's that for?
They are going to be, they are over budget in their communications line item, which is your telephone systems, and they are moving $17,000 from data processing to cover that expense.
What's data processing?
Data processing is software, computer equipment, things of that sort, software programs and things of that sort.
And they have that much left over at this point point in the year to be able to transfer it?
They have not used those funds, and they need to cover their telephone system, so they're moving that out to cover the,
Javier, make a note of that 17,000 for next year's budget. I think I found some money.
They'll just need it in communications, okay?
yeah.
Well, and we can look at that.
And there is one that was, on page 6, you have $8,860 of lab salaries in the old records retrieval, which is the county clerk's restricted records retrieval funds that they generate. And those have a restricted usage, and consequently, those are lab salaries, and they are being moved to cover extra help and salaries. That is a budget neutral line adjustment.
Extra help in their department, or?
In the records retrieval, which are the restricted funds that they
Those
generate.
can only be used
For
those
records retrieval.
purposes.
Yes, yes. You have the last budget amendment, which is, it should be the last one, and that is on the DA's drug forfeiture fund, increasing the miscellaneous line item by $3,527. There are no salary schedules for your approval.
Do I hear a motion to approve item 4A? Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Gatz. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Claims.
Claims, you have warrants number 262896 through 263400, warrants number 263405 through 263540, numbers 263543 through 263681. You also have ACH medical claims for $300,909.92, and you have payroll dated August the 5th for $1,764,777.73 for your approval.
Any questions on claims?
Are there RMA claims in here?
Not a single one, Commissioner.
Do you recommend?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion by Commissioner Benavides? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Sanchez. Discussion?
Abstention on warrant 00263616.
I have an abstention also on warrant number 00263358.
Please note my abstentions on the affidavits I provided, so I hear a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries with the abstentions as noted. Item C, approval of minutes for June the 23rd, regular, June 23rd special, July 7th special, July 7th regular, July 12th special.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. Item D, County Court of Law 3 office staff, court administrator, and coordinators to attend 35th Annual Texas Associated Court Administration TACA Education Conference. Pete?
Item D, E, F, G are all general fund travel items. I believe on item D, we need to cover the registration fee, which is the early registration fee of $250 per employee.
Martha, did you already certify that $11,000 that we got from the Industrial Development Board?
That additional, that check that was received last week is basically classified as a donation. I did not present a budget amendment in this budget amendments for this week because I am unsure if the court wants to designate all of those funds to increase the travel line item. That is, seeking guidance from the court for that. So it is.
Okay, you're going to certify additional revenue, I think for now.
As a donation, yes.
Yeah, put it in general admin and as we need it.